Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and happy Cinco de Mayo. You're all here instead. We're so grateful. Madam Clerk, would you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's Office in preparation of the Council Annual Meeting Notice dated December 17th, 2025, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised that fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The city has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it thereafter.
Thank you. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Boyer.
Present.
Mr. Chris Foley.
Here.
Ms. Kalmanson.
Here.
Ms. Landman.
Here.
Ms. Laceracina.
Here.
Mr. Pulaski.
Here.
President Toth.
Present. Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Albanese, would you and your students please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. So, Madam Clerk, excuse me, let's get a little closer. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notices regarding closed session and hearings and comments?
A closed session meeting as authorized by state statute was announced and held prior to the start of this meeting, and the known items for discussion were listed on the published closed session agenda. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Comcast channels 34 and 36 and Verizon channel 30, and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on HTTV on Comcast 36 and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the City Clerk's office at cityclerk@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes in length. Unless you are using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or need it for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to expand a bit on the city clerk's note about hearings and comments. This will facilitate a smoother process, particularly for those watching remotely. If you are seated in the first 2 rows, please remain silent. Anything you say will be picked up by the recording microphones, and it makes it difficult to hear the official proceedings. The 3-minute limit on public comment corresponds to a little less than a single printed page. And if you're leaving your written remarks, please be sure your name is on them and place them in the box near the lectern when you're done. And with that, let's move on to the city's business. Beginning with the minutes for approval. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and closed session of April 21st, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Sorry you're not having a margarita instead, but so we had a busy weekend here in Summit last past weekend, starting with our Mental Health Awareness Month kickoff event on the Village Green on Friday night. It was a wonderful event of connection and support, and was part of the Paint the Town Green campaign that we're participating in with 14 neighboring towns to raise awareness and end the stigma surrounding mental health. The green ribbons and signs that you see around town serve as a reminder that anyone who may be struggling with their mental health should reach out for support to a friend, a family member, or maybe even a professional. And asking for help is a sign of strength, and you are not alone. Please visit our website at cityofsummit.org/mental health for more information and resources. And thank you to Annette Dwyer and David Guida for spearheading our event on Friday on the Green. We also had our annual AAPI celebration, and I got to wear some holy colors home, which was very exciting. And the PAL Fishing Derby this weekend, which are always wonderful events. I really did have a great time, and I loved seeing so many residents out enjoying these events together. I invite you to join us next weekend at the PAL Pet Show on Saturday, May 9th on the Village Green. It's free admission for all pets, not just dogs, and registration starts at 1 and judging begins at 1:30. I hope to see you there. Speaking of dogs, our temporary dog park pop-ups are back. The first location is open now in the Village Green across from the post office, and it will move to Memorial Field next. These pop-up dog parks are part of the city's effort to gather resident input on potential new locations for a future permanent dog park. We currently have a permanent dog park at the transfer station, but we're exploring additional options that may better serve residents in other parts of town. We encourage you to visit and share your thoughts by completing a brief survey at cityofsummit.org/dogparksurvey. And one last animal-related notice. The deadline to renew dog and cat licenses is June 1st. If you've previously registered your dog or cat with our health department, you should have received a renewal notice in the mail or via email if you've provided your email address to the health department. Renewal information is also, and if it's a new license, is also available on the city website at cityofsummit.org/animal license. Next, I have an update from New Jersey Transit about the stairs at the Summit train station, which have been closed and are awaiting repair. And they've been closed for quite some time, and I hear a lot about this. The replacement stairs are currently being fabricated off-site. Demolition of the old stairs and installation of the new stairs will happen after July 4th, but hopefully will be done by the end of the summer. Thank you to Assemblyman McCurdy and his staff for continuing the conversation with New Jersey Transit. And now I want to say a few words about our Summit Board of Education, since this is the time of year when appointments are typically made. As mayor, it's both my responsibility and a real privilege to make those appointments when terms expire or when a seat becomes vacant. Over the past few months, I've had the chance to meet with and interview about 10 residents for 3 open positions. These conversations are always meaningful to me because our public schools are such an important part of what makes Summit special. They're not only among top rated in the state, but they're also at the heart of why so many people choose to call Summit home. And most importantly, they shape the everyday experiences and futures of our children. Since taking office, I've had the opportunity to fill 6 Board of Education seats, one of those twice due to an early resignation of a member. 3 of my selections were reappointments of individuals originally selected by my predecessor. With every appointment, I'm looking for people who are ready to give their time, represent our diverse community, bring sound judgment, and genuinely care about our students, families, teachers, and staff. At its core, this process is about finding people who will show up, listen, and serve our community with thoughtfulness and integrity. I'm happy to share that my newest appointees bring a range of experiences and perspectives, along with a strong commitment to our schools. They will help ensure that our Board of Education remains transparent, communicative, responsive, analytical, and a responsible steward of one of our community's greatest assets. Thank you.
Okay. And now over to City Administrator Baldwin for her report.
Thank you, Council President. I think we should have students at every meeting. That was a robust
Yeah.
Pledge of Allegiance. I loved it. On to milling and paving. Please be advised that PSE&G and New Jersey American Water have scheduled milling and paving projects on several streets in Summit beginning next Monday, May 11th. The tentative schedule that we received from the utility companies is posted in the news section on the homepage of our website. Please do note that these schedules are subject to change. They are weather dependent. As we receive any updated information and schedules from the utility companies, we will post those to the website as well. Our Department of Community Services has partnered with the New Jersey DEP and Rutgers University to develop a climate change-related hazard vulnerability assessment for the city. This assessment helps municipalities identify potential land use and zoning strategies to increase resilience to climate-related hazards. A public engagement session will be held upstairs in the Whitman Community Room on Thursday, May 14th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We invite you to join us to share your input and review findings from the draft assessment. There's also an online questionnaire that you can fill out if you're unable to attend the session. And more information about this is also available on the city's website. May 12th, the city's clerk's office will be open until 9 p.m. for voter registration. That is the last day to register to vote for the June primary. May 26th is also the start of early voting and the last day to apply by mail for a mail-in ballot for the primary in person at the city clerk's office for the primary June 1. Lastly, the May events for the Summit Free Market will be held on Saturday, May 9th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Friday, May 22nd from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the transfer station. Summit residents with a parking disposal permit can attend, browse donated items, and take what they want for free. Please review the donation guidelines on our website at cityofsummit.org/free market before you bring any items to donate. And that concludes my report.
Well, thank you, City Administrator, and I was planning on talking about a couple of those things. We don't coordinate, so I'll just fill in a few blanks. I am not able to attend the climate meeting next week. I filled out the survey. It's really easy, not a problem. And for voter registration, 17-year-olds who will be 18 by the general election in November are able to register now and vote in the primary. So if you have high school seniors or juniors who are 17, this is a great way to begin their hands-on civic engagement. And because the first Tuesday in June is the primary election, this council meeting will be held Wednesday, June 3rd, instead of Tuesday, June 2nd. So mark your calendars. I know you'll all want to be there. That's just what I have, and I believe we have a mayoral proclamation, so back to you, Madam Mayor.
We did, thank you. David Guida, is he here? I don't see him. No? Okay, and Annette, please come up. Somebody else, you want to bring her? She's going to take pictures. All right. So whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas everyone experiences difficult times of stress and anxiety and should feel comfortable seeking help and support to assist with managing those times, and whereas early identification and early intervention are effective ways of improving mental and overall wellness, and whereas mental wellness leads to higher productivity, better education experiences, and improved quality of life, and whereas a greater understanding of the science and research of stress and adverse childhood experiences is essential to preventing the overrepresentation of mental illness within the criminal justice system, and whereas the City of Summit supports reducing the stigma and discrimination associated with mental health diagnosis by instilling hope and providing access to health care and social services to assist individuals to live a healthy, dignified life. And whereas each business, school, government, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen has a responsibility to support mental wellness, and whereas we proudly support the ongoing work of the New Jersey Crosstown Mental Health Coalition, whose collaboration across our communities reflects the power of partnership in promoting mental health awareness, education, and advocacy. And whereas through shared initiatives such as the Paint the Town Green campaign, we visibly demonstrate our collective commitment to reducing stigma and supporting those impacted by mental health challenges. And whereas alongside many other cities and towns, the City of Summit is committed to creating a safe and nurturing community with accessible health services and education to promote well-being for all people. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Fagan, Mayor of the City of Summit, do hereby proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Summit, and hereby encourage all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to support their local communities' efforts to increase awareness and understanding of mental health and the steps to take to protect their mental health and well-being. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Summit to be affixed this 5th day of May in the year 2026. And I want, on a personal note, again, to thank Annette, because Annette and David Guida created this incredible event on the Village Green in a 21-minute meeting. It was legendary, according to Annette. But even more importantly to me, Annette spent a lot of hours with the other 13 towns that we worked with, and in coordinating a really amazing month of May. And if you look at our city website, please do, because there's links to all things, not just in Summit, but really in the 14 communities that participated. There are events all month, and I really encourage people to get out and be a part of it, because it's a really important cause. And also, not only did she spend lots of hours in meetings, minus the 21-minute meeting, she also tied a lot of green ribbons around town and placed a lot of signs around town. So, Annette, thank you so much for all you do for this community and for mental health awareness.
Thank you so much, Mayor Fagan, for your leadership on this topic that transcends people, politics, communities, and so forth. Without that leadership, Summit would not have been able to host the 14 towns, so I would like to give back thanks to you for the ability to do that, and to David Guida Jr., who was the architect of that 21-minute meeting. And for our businesses, Kristen from Cannibal and Company is here. There are other businesses who are participating, and from Megan Trindell in the press office, who really played a big role in getting the awareness message out. So without further ado, I'll just say thank you, and looking forward to participating again. Thank you.
Okay. Now for the best part of any council meeting, Councilmember Pulowski, would you introduce the historical minute?
I will. So a couple of months ago, we did the Read Across America campaign throughout the schools, and all the council members and the mayor were invited to different schools. I had the pleasure of going to Franklin School, and I was supposed to read to their 5th grade class, but we never got to that. They just wanted to talk about local government. And it was a lot of fun, and towards the end of it, we started talking about the history of Summit. And I asked if they would be interested in coming in and giving a historical minute. So tonight, 5 of those students are here from Ms. Albany's 5th grade class: Ian Sklar, Harper Alexander, Wiley Hare, Reed Block, and Bobby Kennedy. And who's Bobby Kennedy? All right, so I'll have you know that my dad wanted to name me Robert Kennedy Pulowski. My mom said, "How about Robert Francis?" You know, and I'll share with you my favorite quote from Bobby Kennedy, which was, "People say I'm ruthless. I am not ruthless. And when I find out who said that, I will destroy them." So come on up. Let's have your presentation on the history of Franklin School.
They're super techy.
Oh, really?
Hello?
Who's going first?
I think, best to just want to read.
Okay. So do you know how to just scroll down and press the down button?
Do you want to do that? Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who's going to be in control?
Oh, you're doing this effects.
All right.
No, you're not the effects. Don't do my job. Don't do my job. This is not, no,
Just sit down.
just don't do it.
No, special effects are nothing.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Go right up on the side. Or do you need to read from it? It's also on the TV.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Celebrating 100 Years of Franklin Falcons by me, Ian Sklar.
Bobby Kennedy, Harper Alexander, Reed Block,
Wiley Hare. Okay.
In 1927, Franklin Elementary School was built. Since then, it has grown from a little school into a great learning facility. In honor of the 100th year anniversary of Franklin, we have come to this meeting today to give some facts about Franklin history. We hope you enjoy the presentation.
Franklin goes all the way back to the 1800s when the Franklin Schoolhouse was built in 1837. 90 years before the present, Franklin Elementary School opened. This was not built in the same area as Franklin School today, but it was most likely inspired the name. The current location today is on Blackburn Road, where Blackburn Farm once stood. Franklin Elementary School was founded in 1927 during Summit's largest population spike, where the population went from about 10,000 people to about 14,000. The original Franklin only had 2 classrooms and close to $60,000 to build. There was about 50 students in each class and only 2 teachers. The first principal was Clara R. DeRosia.
In the early days of the school, specials such as Spanish, art, and music were all in a cart. Teachers would put materials for activities on these wagons and push them to different classrooms to teach them. Around 1950 to 60, the tradition of field day started, where activities were set up on the field and classes came out to participate in them.
In 1973, an extension was added to Franklin, creating a library and learning workshop classrooms. In 1996, 5 classrooms were added, which is now the 5th grade wing. At one point, Franklin had grades K to 6 and around 600 students before the 6th grade moved to the middle school in 1990 and the kindergarten moved to Wilson Primary Center in 1997. In 1999, the school was struck by lightning, causing the need for many roof repairs. Today, there is an exhibit in the library where you can see artifacts from this event. In the early 2000s, the library experienced a massive renovation where many walls were knocked down, creating a more bright, open space. At one point in the early 2010s, there were so many students that we needed a trailer outside as a classroom. In 2015 to 16, a huge portion of the school was added, including an elevator and 4 regular classrooms, as well as 4 small classrooms for speech and learning workshop. This area, minus the elevator, became a portion of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels. Along with the new extension, Franklin got a new playground. Yay. In 2021, the principal at the time, dog-loving Janice Tierney, introduced the Read to the Dogs program. This program has helped with our reading comprehension skills. Shortly after, we upgraded our outdoor space yet again, and we got new benches, new awning, and a Gaga pit. In 2023, the SCF gave Franklin a grant to turn in an unused computer room into an immersive STEAM lab. Last year, in 2025, the gym was repainted with brand new wall-to-wall mats.
In the present, Franklin holds 364 students and close to 70 staff members. The grades go from 1st to 5th grade. Now, in addition to paper and pencil, we each have our own computers called Chromebooks, and in almost every classroom, there is a smartboard instead of traditional blackboards. It is a thriving learning community where students take in information and socialize.
According to the last census, the population of Summit is 22,700. That growth is over 9 decades since Franklin Elementary was built. Franklin did not always have a mascot. The Franklin Fair used to be entirely operated by parents. A lot of things happened in 1927, including Babe Ruth hit a record-breaking 60 home runs in a season, and the Holland Tunnel opened. The Franklin Schoolhouse was at 709 Springfield Avenue, which is now a townhouse. This building closed in 1872.
From 1927 to 2026, Franklin School evolved from a small two-room school, to a thriving community with many resources and lots of space. It has come so far thanks to the SEF, who funded the STEAM Lab, innovative programs, and so much more. Another big group, the PTO, deserves credit because they have incorporated so many fun activities and other experiences that became a part of Franklin culture, like author visits and our annual musical. We'd also like to express gratitude toward Mrs. Mills, our librarian, because we would have not been able to make the slideshow without her, and to our teacher, Miss Albanese, who went out of her way to ensure that this was successful. We hope that this has been enriching and that you have enjoyed the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. That was wonderful. And I'm confident you would all love to stay here for the budget hearing. But my guess is your parents would prefer that you got a good night's sleep. So do not feel compelled to stay. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Mills, Mrs. Albanese, and everybody. Before we move to the hearing, we'll let these folks leave. Yes. Okay. And then folks who are standing can come forward. We now have more seating available. We're going to move to the hearing for the 2026 budget. Just before we do that, before we open it, I'd like to ask City Administrator Baldwin to give a very brief recap of how we're going to spend our money this year. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Council President. I think I can do this well under 3 minutes. And I appreciate the chance to give a quick recap of the 2026 budget. We actually just received approval today to go ahead with our hearing tonight on the budget. Provided great relief to me today and cause for celebration as we potentially adopt this budget this evening. Finance Director Jennifer Kobliska and I have been addressing the comments from the state since they delivered to them to us last Wednesday afternoon. So that is what we have been doing for the last 4 days. We did introduce the city's budget on April 7th. At that meeting, you can find it online if you're interested in the detailed version of the introduction. I stood at the podium, gave a great presentation with some slides. I did talk to some folks who thought it was informative and easy to understand, so feel free to check that out. And the presentation itself, in the way of the slides, is also online. We will post the adopted version, if it goes through this evening, tomorrow as well. This was a pretty tough year for municipalities across the state. My colleagues, other CFOs across the state were all struggling with vast increases in all kinds of different expenses that municipalities run into. It was very challenging. I have some colleagues who are looking at between 5% and 8% increases. We were not immune to that, although we did fare much better, thankfully. Health insurance costs for both the city and the employees here rose dramatically, about 34%, and about $800,000 of that is picked up by the city. Our municipal operations increased by $1.6 million and change. $245,000 of that was in salaries and $1.429 million in other expenses. Our pension costs increased, as did insurance and utility costs. The Finance Committee worked tirelessly over several months to develop a responsible budget for the city with all of these challenges, and it was no easy feat. There were difficult choices to be made with regard to infrastructure improvements and prioritizing the overall budget. Department heads were tasked to reduce their budgets while keeping services at current levels, which again is no easy feat, but we were successful in that. So I do thank everyone for their cooperation in that. The 2026 budget is $63,427,236, which is an increase of 3.5% budget to budget, which equates to $2,116,000 above 2025. Don't be alarmed, the tax rate did not go up 3.5. We'll get there. The average home assessment in 2026 is $445,000. If that is the assessed value of your home, you pay about $20,634 in taxes. This represents a 27-cent increase or $162 increase in the property tax bill for the municipal portion of your bill. The tax base increased by to $30.7 million, which resulted in an additional, by $30.7 million, which resulted in an additional $298,000 in municipal tax revenue gain, which reduces the municipal tax impact to everybody else by that amount. If you received the 2026, I hope everyone did, the municipal budget snapshot, which gets delivered to you at home. It's quite colorful. You can't miss it. You might have noticed that the municipal tax levy in total is $33.1 million, which is up from $31.8 in 2025. And this accounts for just about 21 cents for every tax dollar that you spend, which comes to the municipality to support all of the services that you all as residents, businesses receive here. The municipal tax rate increase is 2.9%. We started out at about 5.3, and it was quite challenging to get down to the 2.9, but we did get there. And while we would love it to be lower, in order to keep the services that we have now, this is where we landed. In good news, our net debt is at $63 million, which is 0.63% of our, the equation that we have to do is a 3-year average of our equalized value. We are allowed to go as high as 3.5%, so I'm very proud of the work that councils have done prior years while I've been here and currently to keep that net debt down. And we are still AAA rated by all 3 rating agencies. So that is the overall high level, finer points. Again, there's materials on the website that everyone can look at if they're interested. Feel free to email me if you have any questions, and I'm hoping that we adopt a budget tonight and we can move on in finance. Thank you.
Thank you, City Administrator Baldwin. Councilmember Landman.
Thank you, Council President. And thank you again to Administrator Baldwin, Director Kabliska, every single city department head, all of the council members, the mayor, for all of your hard work in developing the budget for 2026. All of us compromised in one way or another to make this budget work in a very difficult fiscal year. So well done. I'm grateful for your teamwork, all of you. Given we've spent a lot of time explaining the process and the numbers to the public, I would like us to use our time tonight for this hearing to hear your feedback. So with that, I move to open the hearing on the 2026 municipal operating budget.
Second.
Okay. Any members of the public who would like to make comments on the municipal operating budget? Don't all rush up. Any comments from members of council? Councilmember Saracena.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to again echo gratitude, in particular for our City Administrator, Ms. Baldwin, our Director of Finance, Jen Kabliska, and the partnership of all of our department heads, several of whom are here tonight. Again, these are very difficult decisions. Everyone came to the process acknowledging that these taxpayer dollars belong to the community, and we treat every dollar as though it is our own. We know that it's one of our most sacred obligations to be excellent stewards of the taxpayer funds, and I feel confident with the rigorous process that our excellent finance team and our finance chair, Councilwoman Landman led, that we have stricken the right balance between fiscal responsibility and investing in critical infrastructure and government services. So a lot of gratitude for the team that came together for this budget. I'm very pleased with where we landed.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Pulowski.
Thank you. I support this budget, and I only wish that we could do more. One of the reasons that I ran for council was because I saw the deterioration of our infrastructure and assets, including in particular city streets, Anderson Fieldhouse at Tatlock, and Cornog Fieldhouse at Memorial. And as I look back at prior budgets, there's a long string of budgets that were under 2%. So while I'm not a fan of paying taxes or increasing taxes or anything like that, I hope that we can continue to plan ahead for the future so that we don't have big problems later on if we could address smaller problems along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boyer.
Council President, thank you. I'm going to try to push my way through the night. If anybody struggles with allergies, it's a terrible thing. But I want to start off by thanking the council and Councilwoman Lamon and our administrator, my council president, and our mayor. I too support this budget, but I have a couple of points. I want to also start out by saying publicly thanking the Summit Police Department for an absolutely outstanding job this past weekend. I don't know if you've heard, but last Friday at about 3 a.m., an out-of-state suspect with an active warrant took a sledgehammer to one of our local businesses on Springfield Avenue and stole a high-end bike. But thanks to the tireless work of our Detective and Patrol Bureau, they tracked down the suspect across multiple jurisdictions and made a phenomenal arrest in just 27 hours. We asked them to protect Summit, and they deliver. Now, a safe city does not, well, let me back up for a second. Our police were able to track down the suspect only because a private business owner happened to have exterior-facing cameras that captured the street. If that store only had interior cameras, our police probably would have found them, but it would have been a lot harder. They would have been a little bit more blinded to where the suspect went and what happened on our own public streets. So a safe city does not outsource its street-level security to private citizens. Being one of the safest cities in New Jersey is not by accident. It is a manufactured condition, and it comes at a cost. You do not stop investing in the shield just because it successfully is blocking the arrows. When you lay off the gas on public safety, you lose it. Now, I know we've been told that the city had to find money for healthcare costs and utility bills and mandated library funding and all of that. I get it. But improving and maintaining the city never stops. And next year, I guarantee we will be told that we still can't afford to provide cameras in our downtown district, which is absolutely ridiculous, because we have to spend $1 million to move our dispatch center to the fire department. Now, rising costs is an issue, but this city is one of the safest cities in New Jersey because we made an investment and it paid off. Our chief just gave a phenomenal report about burglaries and break-ins the other day. A couple of years ago, there was a group of young girls who were 11 years old, and some guy pulled a knife on them in our downtown district. Had it not been for the camera at Lululemon, we would have had no video surveillance. And now, in a little while, we're going to be talking about opening Maple Street and having additional people come to our town. And still, we don't have any cameras in our downtown district. This was on the budget, and it was taken off. And, cooler heads should have prevailed here. And, we should have kept this on the budget because this is needed. Your safety is a concern. And this is one of the major points that while we're all up here. Now, I again take my hat off to the phenomenal job that the council and the mayor and the business administrator did with the budget this year, but you cannot let your foot off the gas. You just can't. There's certain services that we need and we have to pay for. There's a premium to live in this town, and you all enjoy it, and you enjoy your safety. So I hope that this council can reconsider and find some money to start this process and stop delaying the inevitable. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Mayor.
I'll be brief. I just want to shout out, I know that people have already said it, but I think it's worth repeating. Our CFO/city administrator and our director of finance, Tammy Baldwin and Jen Kabliska, worked tirelessly. And when I tell you tirelessly, it was every day, no weekends, no holidays off, every day for hours and hours and hours until it was right, until it was done. So I just really think that everybody should appreciate the people that we have working for us and trying to get it right. So thank you.
Can only echo that. Okay, Councilmember Kalmanson.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to thank City Administrator Baldwin and Director Kubliska and our council members, Laceracina and Landman, for all of their hard work. As you know, we started out with a very challenging budget year, and then when the firehouse didn't close on time, it became even more challenging. And the cuts were already painful, and they had to make further painful cuts. So I really applaud them for that. You know, it's like we have to strike things from the budget every year, and it's not pleasant. And you know, I mean, there's always, you know, there's always several things that we would like to include. You know, we would have liked to included all of the maintenance in the slides in the aquatic center, and the backstop at Memorial needs replaced. Like, there's always things that we have to cut, and you know, everybody, we don't enjoy that, but that's just what we have to do. So thank you again to everyone that worked really hard on this. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Crisafulli, yes.
Thank you, Council President. I support this budget fully. I recognize the intense teamwork that it took to get this to happen. My interest in Summit is the boring stuff, making the trains run on time, making sure the clocks keep working. We have, and we'll come to this later in the meeting as well, we have heroic city staff, some of whom have spent decades here, incredible professionals that have dedicated their careers to making sure our town works so that most people don't have to think about it, right? They don't think about the infrastructure. But over time, I believe we need to invest in the systems that make us work better, smarter, and over time, perhaps more cost effectively. But I want to make room in next year's budget for the systems, the computing, you know, updating some of the software, and taking a look at how the city's working under the hood. And so I want to see room in next year's budget for that when we have more time to plan ahead for those kind of expenditures. And hopefully less health care cost expenses to worry about too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, would you like to call the roll, please, Madam Clerk?
Are we closing?
Are we
We're
closing?
closing the hearing first.
Closing
And then
the
we're
hearing?
going to do resolutions
SDI, yeah.
later.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I am back, getting this backwards. Back to you, Councilmember Landman.
Well, I was just going to say,
Okay,
we'll go
yes.
ahead and close the hearing then for the municipal budget.
yes.
And we can invite
Mr. Robb
Bill Robb.
and Mr. Merritt from SDI to present on the SDI budget.
We're not going to do as well as the Franklin School kids. We have no PowerPoint, and we're definitely not as cute. Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Bill Robb, Chairman of the Board of Summit Downtown Inc. This is Ray Merritt, our treasurer. I finally got somebody to take the treasurer's job, which I used to hold. Summit Downtown Inc., for those of you that aren't super familiar, is a Specialty Improvement District, SID, in accordance with NJSA 40:56-65 to 89, allowing for the designation of a pedestrian mall or special improvement district, and for the collection of assessments from properties within the SID that are then turned over to SDI for operations. You guys may know us from some of our exciting events. Farmers Market brings 3,000 to 4,000 people to town each week on Sunday from April through November. We are having 2 World Cup watch parties this summer. Summit Welcomes the World. Mark your calendars, June 11th and July 19th. Family Fun Night, where I didn't write down the date. Street Sounds, which is almost a weekly event. You know, some of the performers around town that you get to enjoy and listen to. Arts and Cars in partnership with Piotr's Auto Body and Spa in the fall. And 2 horse and carriages during the holiday season, as well as other interesting things which drive traffic to downtown, like a gift card program. We sold over $30,000 of gift cards for use only in Summit last year. And I probably have missed something, but we've got a wonderful staff, 2 full-time staff, our executive director, Nancy Adams, assistant director, Wyndham Rothblatt, Robin Coburn, who does marketing part-time, and then Maren Mixon, who basically helps run the farmer's market. I'm not sure if everybody has had a chance to look at our budget. We have a balanced budget, income of $518,957, equal expenses. The majority of the revenue is farmer's market and the previously mentioned assessments. Expenses include putting on the wonderful events and also our tireless staff who accomplishes a lot on very few heads. So we are here to field questions about SDI, introduce ourselves, and I think I've said enough. Do you want to add anything?
I concur.
Perfect.
Okay, Councilmember Landman.
Thank you, Bill, Rob, and Ray Merritt from the Summit Downtown Inc. for your budget highlights. I've had the pleasure of sitting on the SDI board as a council liaison, and therefore I've had time to review the budget in detail. You have my support. With that, I move to open the hearing on the 2026 Special Improvement District budget.
Okay, thank you. Do we have?
Second?
Oh, we do, yes.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm so anxious to hear any public comment on the Summit Downtown Inc. budget. No?
They all concur.
Are there any comments from members of council?
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Boyer.
I would like to thank these 2 gentlemen here. And by the way, problem solved. SDI's got $500,000 for the cameras, so we can all like. No, but thank you, and thank you for your commitment to Summit. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Okay, I wanted to stress how critical a thriving downtown is for every Summit resident. We call it one of our 3 crown jewels, and it was the first thing that HGTV mentioned recently when it named Summit one of the 20th hottest suburbs in the U.S. Hope everyone saw that. A vibrant downtown supports our home values, the most important asset many of us have. And in recent years, our downtown has encouraged many significant business movement into or near downtown, from Boston Consulting Group to J.P. Morgan and PPAC Private to Boll and Branch just outside downtown. So I'm very grateful to SDI for its hard work enhancing our downtown and benefiting all of us. Any other Okay, should we now close this hearing? Thank you, gentlemen. Can move on to resolutions. Councilmember Landman.
Thank you, Council President. This is Resolution 12496. Thank you, everyone on council, for your comments, both at the last council meeting from our residents and then this evening from council. Having just closed the hearing on the 2026 municipal budget, I move to adopt this resolution by roll call vote.
Second.
Do we need more comments?
I'm sorry?
Do we need more comments?
No, you've
No.
already opened
Okay,
it.
okay.
You can open it up to everyone if you wish, and then,
Do I need to?
no.
Okay, let's just proceed to the roll call then.
Okay.
We've got a busy night.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Mr. Christofoli?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Ms. Landman?
Aye.
Ms. Laceracina?
Aye.
Mr. Pulowski?
Aye.
President Toth.
Aye. Back to you, Councilmember Landman.
Thank you, Council President. This is Resolution 12516. Having just closed the hearing on the 2026 budget for Summit Downtown Inc., I move to adopt this resolution by roll call vote.
Second.
Okay. Back to you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Mr. Christofoli?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Ms. Landman?
Aye.
Ms. Laceracina?
Aye.
Mr. Pulowski?
Aye.
President Toth.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay.
We have an adopted budget.
We have an adopted budget. Congratulations. Okay, we're going to move on to ordinances for hearing. Madam Clerk, would you please read ordinance for hearing number 26-3380?
An ordinance authorizing the temporary closure of Maple Street pursuant to NJSA 40:67-16.9 in the city of Summit, county of Union, New Jersey.
Okay. Councilmember Crisafulli.
Thank you, Council President. Ordinance 26-3380 would create a pedestrian area on Maple Street in downtown Summit for outdoor dining, tables for takeout dining, kids' games, and pop-up retail during our summer school vacation this year. I move to open the hearing on this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, before we get to the public comment portion, we have some prefatory matters. And I'd like to ask our first responders to comment on how they handle their tasks when the streets are closed. So let's begin with Chief Peters.
Good evening, Council President. Good evening, Council, through you. So there's been discussions, obviously, amongst all of us, both at the Safety Committee level and various other committees as well, regarding our concerns as public safety officials with the forthcoming Maple Street closure, if approved. Obviously, this is a multi-layered issue, especially for public safety. So reviewing a lot of the resident feedback that we've gotten via email that's been shared through our city clerk, as well as the discussion items that have been shared through the Safety Committee. I do have 5 areas that I want to focus on. Not to say that that's all the areas, but the 5 most, I would say, critical areas in which I would want to respond to some of these comments on. So first and foremost, received various emails regarding the response time for the area north of the Central Business District. So the Summit Police Department is a little bit more unique than the Summit Fire Department, the Summit Volunteer First Aid Squad, as we do not respond from a fixed location. So obviously I don't want to give away our operational posture or our operational readiness, but what I can tell you is the city is divided up into a variety of different sectors, and within those sectors, all officers are assigned to patrol those areas during the course of their duty. So that being said, on any given moment, with the exception of a blaring emergency that would require an entirety duty shift to respond, we typically have at least one, if not several officers that are driving around operating within the area north of the Central Business District. So response times for me, at least for a primary and secondary unit, are not much of a concern for calls of service north of the Central Business District. Number 2, response time within the closure of Maple Street. Obviously, if you close a street, it's going to limit our response via vehicle, motor police car. So any calls for service will require officers to park at the closest location to the closure and approach on foot. So for me, what that looks like, anywhere between Union Place and Springfield Avenue, say there was a call for service at, let's say, the Elks or Fiorinos, our officers will have to park at the corner and respond on foot, which I anticipate anywhere between a 30 and 60-second delay in response. Number 3, detouring vehicles to already troubled intersections. Statistical data does support that pedestrian collisions are most common in and around our Central Business District. While the most recent traffic study conducted in April of 2026 indicated Springfield Avenue and Beechwood Road would experience the most significant change to operations, operations could be improved by providing alternate variable timing to the traffic lights to ensure a more responsive and responsive operation to traffic volumes. Additionally, a bigger concern for me would be the unsignalized intersection of Summit Avenue where Union Place and Franklin Place meet, which, according to the most recent traffic study, currently experiences failing levels of service under the existing conditions. According to the traffic safety study, the proposed road closure will detour traffic to this intersection, among others, and therefore potentially exacerbate this existing failing condition. That being said, according to the most recent traffic study, the increase in traffic volume to this intersection is anticipated to be minimal due to the time of year. Therefore, any mitigation that is developed to improve the existing condition is likely to accommodate the change in traffic volumes associated with this closure. Also, it is my understanding, and I've just received an updated copy of it, the city engineer has developed a plan in an effort to mitigate these issues at that intersection. Number 4, the method in which the roadway will be blocked. There are a variety of different methods in which we can block a roadway, whether it be plastic barricades, concrete, or bollards, etc. According to the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Device Standards, a Type 3 barricade is required for a full road closure, so I would like to see those. Additionally, barricades on the southern and northernmost locations on Maple Street should be what's called MASH certified, Manual for Assessing Safety and Hardware, to a TL3, which tests against vehicles traveling at the speed of 62.5 miles an hour. If DOT permits, I would say barricades bordering Springfield Avenue may be TL2, which tests vehicles against traveling speeds at 44 miles an hour, because anybody coming in from Springfield Avenue would be turning. That is imperative to ensure the safety of those within the closure against a driver suffering from a medical emergency, impaired drivers, and/or those who have nefarious intent. If the city utilizes plastic barriers filled with water, as they did in the past, then I would recommend a daily inspection to ensure their stability. And lastly, under NJSA 33:1-40, the Summit Police Department serves as an extension to the alcohol beverage control. We complete background investigations for licensed applicants. We conduct routine inspections of licensed premises to ensure compliance. We execute enforcement for violations of ABC laws and local ordinance. And lastly, we ensure extension of premise compliance, which would be required for any liquor license establishment that serves alcohol outside their primary locations. So for example, any of the restaurants that would benefit extending their premise onto the sidewalk or into Maple Street would have to apply through the ABC for an extension of premise permit. That permit would then get reviewed by myself and the city clerk. We would choose to endorse or not that extension, and then from there, the ABC does a final review for approval. So again, as I prefaced my comment with the fact that this is a multi-layered approach, it doesn't just involve public safety. I figured that these were the 5 most imperative areas in which I would like to express my comments on, and that's all I have. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Chief Peters. Chief Evers. Yeah. Chief Evers? Mhm.
This is quickly about the Maple Street closure. Fire department deal with layout instructions on a daily basis around town. Part of our training is to recognize these situations and have our incident commanders act accordingly. A pre-planned approach, any area in town that is obstructed, we have pre-plans in place to mitigate any kind of problems. In areas that there were slight delay in our response, many of them in town, we have operational procedures in place to deal with areas that can have a little bit of challenge of firemen fighting fires. Done on a daily basis. There are many places in town that have those, and we're really not too concerned about operational procedures in there. In summary, the fire department is ready for any kind of issues in that area. We don't anticipate anything. We are trained to fight these kind of fires and to address them, and we have plenty of access in the area, so we're kind of in line with our normal training. We train for these kind of events, so we're kind of ready to do it. And like I say, we deal with obstructions every day in the fire service. We have procedures in place, pre-plans to deal with these, so we're kind of in areas, so we can definitely deal with it. So, as far as delays go, we deal with delays all the way in town. We have different response groups we put in place. Every morning we have briefings, and we conduct into the commanders any hazards in town, any kind of delays, so we can kind of get ahead of the game and not have any kind of issues with it. So, plan closure, a little bit of advantage. We know it's closed. We can adapt our responses and operational procedures accordingly. So, and that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chief Evers. We also received written comment from the Summit Volunteer First Aid Squad, and I'm going to read it. As you're aware, Summit EMS is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization that provides pre-hospital emergency care and ambulance transport to sick and injured community members and visitors to the city of Summit. Our organization has been in continuous operation since 1962, and essential to our mission is a commitment that the organization remain politically neutral. We've been asked by members of council to provide comments on the proposed closure of Maple Street. Our organization does not conduct traffic or emergency response studies, and we have not been asked to participate in any such study that would allow us to offer an apolitical opinion on the subject. Therefore, the sole official position of Summit EMS is as follows. Summit EMS has and will continue to respond to any and all dispatched calls for medical service based on 1, road conditions that exist, and 2, the best possible access available at the time of an emergency to provide patient care. Next, I'd like to ask our city solicitor, Marina Brown, to describe the state law on street closures upon which the draft ordinance relies.
Yes. Thank you, Council President. The state law is NJSA 40:67-16.9, which requires the city council to adopt an ordinance that would authorize the street closure by the mayor or other chief executive officer. In the city of Summit, the mayor is the chief executive officer. Further, for any street closures that exceed 48 hours, they require approval by the NJDOT and a certification from the city engineer.
And the standards the mayor uses.
The standard in the statute states that the governing body of any municipality may, by ordinance, authorize the mayor to provide by regulation for the closing of any street or portion thereof to motor vehicle traffic on any day or days during specified hours, on any days or days when he or she finds that such closing is necessary for the preservation of the public safety, health, or welfare.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll open the public portion of the hearing. As you come forward to speak, please address any questions to me. We'll respond to them after all members of the public have spoken. Also, please adhere to the 3-minute limit on public comments, and be sure that if you leave any written comment in the box, that you have your name written on it. So let's begin.
Council President, is the city engineers not coming to this hearing?
The city engineer is not here this evening. That's correct.
Council President? Don't you think that that is a problem, that the council cannot ask the city engineer technical questions about how this whole thing is going to be set up tonight? Like, why isn't the city engineer here tonight? Is there a reason? Can we ask the business administrator? I mean, this is a really important ordinance. Why is Aaron not here?
Through you, Council President,
Go right ahead.
there is a resolution that is coming forth on the latter part of the agenda that I think explains a bit, and Aaron has requested this evening not to be in attendance, and so he is not here this evening.
And the city engineer has provided documentation previously. It's part of the packet, laying out what it would look like, and that's been available on the website.
Understood that. I know what the resolution is, but he's still a paid employee. The city is paying him as an engineer to be here, and this is an important, I mean, he could have delegated someone that could provide, information in his stead. Like, why? I'm not understanding. We have more than one person that can answer questions from the council about the engineering and the aspect of closing down the street.
That is all the answer I have this evening. I'm sorry, Councilmember Boyer.
Is the traffic engineer coming? I thought the traffic, okay.
No. Let's move forward.
Thank you, Council President. My name is Stacy Allen. I live at Plymouth Road. I loved outdoor dining during the pandemic. I think having outdoor dining and the closed pedestrian road made Summit very festive and social. At the time of the pandemic, I didn't think about the safety ramifications of closing Maple Street. I've since realized why closing Maple Street is a horrible idea. This past Friday night was a nightmare for our family. My 17-year-old daughter, who's here tonight, was eating at Ani Ramen with her friends while I was attending an event at Twin Maples. I rushed to the area, and I had to drive around the block twice near Ani Ramen, including Maple Street, in order to get to her. Once I did, she took an EpiPen, and then we rushed to the hospital. We got to Overlook in probably 6 minutes. It's just a guess. I did not time it. I couldn't even think straight. It seemed like much longer than 6 minutes. I don't want to think about what could have happened if we were located any further from the hospital, or if I couldn't have driven on Maple Street to circle around the block to find her. Maple Street being closed would have obviously increased traffic congestion as well as we were trying to get to the hospital. This was a life or death allergic reaction, and it was the worst one we have experienced. My daughter needed 3 EpiPens, oxygen, and breathing medication in order to save her life. Looking back today, as we discussed it, she tells me she really thought she was about to die in Overlook Hospital. Anyone listening to me might suggest that we should have called an ambulance in this situation. But we have done that in the past, and it takes much longer to get help than it does for us to drive directly to the hospital ourselves. Nothing is wrong. We love our EMS, but it does take a long time for them to get to us, and sometimes the police come or the fire comes before the EMS comes, because we have done it a lot. We feel so lucky that we have picked Summit as our home, because with 3 kids that all have food allergies and asthma, we have rushed to Overlook no fewer than 20 times for anaphylactic food reactions and asthma attacks. For any emergency in town, a heart attack, a stroke, or even a fire, Maple Street being closed will obviously increase congestion around town and cut off a main artery for EMS, police, and firefighters, or for people like myself just trying to drive through town. Please halt any plans to close Maple Street. It is frivolous and dangerous and should not be approved. The benefits of closing the street do not outweigh the risks. I beg you council members, all of you, to realize that safety is your biggest responsibility to the citizens of Summit. If Maple Street was closed this past Friday night, it's possible that our family and the town of Summit would have lost a very special girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Marks. I live at 9 Pearl Street. I want to talk about the closure, the post-closure of...
Right into the microphone,
Okay,
please.
closer. Wanted to address the closure of Maple Street, but before I do that, I just wanted to very briefly respond to Councilmember Boyer's comment in regards to more people coming here during the street closure and how that could... how it brings more people into town and would be more of a risk to our community, right? You brought the cameras. You brought the cameras up when you spoke earlier during the budget meetings, the budget comments. And the last thing that I want in town is a camera at every corner. I feel like, well, first of all, this is the safest town probably that I've ever lived in. I've moved around quite a bit. It's a very, very safe town thanks to the police department. We already have a lot of cameras in town. I've seen it and had an opportunity to visit. There are lots of cameras in the downtown area. And I find I already live in a life 1984. I do not need cameras at every corner. That doesn't make me feel any safer. That makes me feel watched, right? So I just wanted to briefly address this. I would not be in favor of cameras at every corner of town. Now the closure of Maple Street. Well, it's extremely unfortunate what happened to your
Please
family,
speak
to
to
your
the
daughter.
council president.
Sorry, just wanted to address the lady who spoke before me. I think it's an anecdotal incident, right? It's unfortunate. Other towns have streets closed. I think we need to rely on the police chief, the fire chief, maybe the city engineer, other experts who can really judge on whether there is an increased risk for our community or not. What a closure of Maple Street will bring is the community together, right? People gather, people come out. During the summer month, the streets of Summit it's a little bit of a ghost town, I find, right? When the kids are out of school, people travel, people spend time at the shore, wherever. There's not all that much going on in town for those to stay here. So I find that it brings the community together. In addition with the dog park that I love the idea. I also understand it's inconvenient for maybe the people who live on that street, right? We also expect people around Tadlock to be inconvenienced, right? During game time when the lights are on, right? And I think in both the situations, the closure of Maple Street as well as Tadlock, it's for the greater benefit of our community, right? In both cases, I support the closure of Maple Street. I support the lights at Tadlock. So I just wanted to make this clear. I also think
You're gonna have
that
to finish up.
Oh, okay, can I just, one last sentence? It's not just a benefit for the businesses that are local to Maple Street, but all the surrounding businesses will also benefit from a closure and just bring more foot traffic to downtown. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lori Combius, and I am a lifelong resident of Summit. I was also a business owner on Maple Street for 15 years, and now I am a property owner of Maple Street. And I am also a resident of Maple Street. I live at 44 Maple Street, right in downtown Summit. It's very unfortunate that no one asked my husband or myself about the closing of Maple Street for outdoor dining this time. I can understand why Maple Street was closed during COVID. It made perfect sense. However, it makes no sense now. We believe that it only benefits the 4 most expensive restaurants in Summit. Put yourself in my position. I am an eyewitness. I am the camera on Maple Street. I look out my window and I see what's going on, especially when the restaurants are closed late at night. There are people that come and sit at the tables. They bring alcohol. They leave garbage. I have found cigarette butts and half-empty cans of beer on my stoop. It is not safe. It is very dangerous. No one cleans up the mess. And it looks like a mess with the plastic tables and the plastic chairs and the orange barricades and the orange cones. And on hot days and rainy days, the tables are empty. Delivery trucks think that Maple Street is under construction and never deliver our packages. Uber drivers and big delivery trucks get confused. We believe that the closing of Maple Street is dangerous. It's a liability. And if there were any kind of emergency, like this lovely woman just told us, it would be very difficult, I believe, for EMS or the fire department to reach the person in need. I have actually seen the ambulance on our street on several occasions. I totally get it that you are trying to promote goodwill in our town and to bring other people from other towns, but there are many other options that you could consider that would benefit all of the restaurants and all of the shops in downtown Summit. I would encourage all of you to please consider the business and property owners on the street and take into consideration that this is only benefiting 3 out of the 6 shops who want it and 4 restaurants on Maple Street, and not the rest of the stores and the rest of the towns and the rest of the stores and the rest of the restaurants in Summit. It's just not fair. Unfortunately, if this passes, my husband and I feel that we feel and we have decided that we will retain counsel if we have to.
Thank you.
And that's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Would you like to leave your statement, Ms. Combius? Do you want to leave your statement there?
Oh, no.
No?
I don't think you can read it. It's kind of a mess.
You can email it to me. You want to clean it up?
I will email it to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Madam President, my name's Tom Salser. I live at 6 Irving Place. I think it's a great idea. It brings people out of their houses. We get to enjoy the city. I think it gives our town a nice, cool vibe. It suggests that we are a happening place. During the summer, there's very little traffic. Most people are not in the town. I think it's a terrific idea. If you do it, I will try to get my wife and son to come dine at Summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Is it possible to take a,
No,
ask
you-
the people to stand up if they're for
no,
one?
your comments get directed to
Thank you.
council.
Davin Chikuski, 34 Maple Street, Robot Revolution. I love Summit. My business has been in Summit for 15 years. I think we have a really good relationship. The closure of Maple Street can be good, but this whole proposal is extraordinarily rushed, as it usually is, and doesn't address a lot of the issues that we had last time we closed the street. This should be something that goes on over 6 months, a year, with other public comment. Other business owners like me have given many suggestions in the past. The current ordinance is still extraordinarily vague and rushed, and represents the voices of very few businesses on that street. You can't approve this ordinance without explicitly addressing these issues. Last closure, the entire space was dominated by restaurants, some of which already have significant outdoor cafe space. The restaurant tables stretched edge to edge on the street, which prevented pedestrian movement. A table that you would walk by, you would need to walk straight by it while someone was eating. They still are edge to edge on the current proposed plan. Some of these restaurants only use the tables for 3 or 4 days during the week. Huge tents covered the entire area, reducing storefront visibility and discouraging pedestrian movement further. Patrons left messes on the sidewalks and in front of businesses. Who was responsible for cleaning up? The morning businesses were responsible for cleaning up everything, the entire mess. There was open smoking and throwing of cigarette butts in the entire area. Rodents were seen regularly at those little tiny decorative plantings. For other businesses in the town, it makes it difficult to walk down Maple Street, and it doesn't attract customers. Increasing downtown traffic doesn't help customers. Blocking businesses from moving equipment, both in other areas of town and on Maple Street, doesn't help anyone. This ordinance needs to be rejected. Any future ordinances need to publish guidelines for how any business in town can apply for usage of the outdoor space. Is it only for some restaurants? We need rules for maintaining adequate pedestrian walkways and penalties for non-compliance. The concept plan does not show any sidewalk traffic, and the tables butt straight up against the sidewalk. It also makes things worse by providing even more recreational seating than was there before, in front of other businesses, such as Number 18 Boutique and Lob Lolly. Go look at the plan. Concept plan also has no room for restaurant busing or hospitality, so it'll occur on the street.
Thank you.
Okay. I will provide this. It also says that to provide for services, including extra policing that is walking, you need to increase the fees. I included the fee schedule for New York City.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Irene Loschert. I'm a resident on Lenox. I came to express my opposition to closing Maple Street, but in hearing various things, I wanted to point out that there was a lot of talk about the budget today, and I don't know if anyone heard the presentation or listened to the presentation about Franklin School and how today there are 300 students and 70 administrators. And when the school first opened, it was 50 students and 2 teachers. That sounds like a lot. I wonder where our money is going. Additionally, with regards to the budget, I imagine that Maple Street is going to cost extra money. And given that we are cutting things, where are we finding extra money for Maple Street and for the closure or for the cleanup or whatever it is? I concur with everything that the previous gentleman said. I thought that it was a major inconvenience. Additionally, I drove by many times the last time it was open, and it sat empty Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday afternoons, kind of, when the weather was rainy, which was often. And for those reasons, I don't think that the residents should be inconvenienced. Additionally, I think that there are 4 named people in a lawsuit against the city over the lights at Tatlock. And somehow they were able to dictate that Tatlock would have to have cameras. I am against Maple Street, but if you have to have Maple Street, and if this goes through, there is no way that Maple Street should go forward if there are no lights. And I imagine that there are probably 4 residents in town who could put together a lawsuit to make that happen as well. It seems only fair if you have to have lights at Tatlock, you should have them in town in a place where you expect people to be drinking outside and after hours. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Next.
Oh, sorry, I forgot something. What I wanted to say is that I think 2 years ago, the city engineer did not approve this closure and would not approve this closure. And I'm disappointed that he's not here because I think that we need to hear what he has to say. I also think I was under the impression that he was not, that his decision of this was being farmed out to a third party or something like that. Anyway, I think the city engineer needs to be here and explain maybe why he opposed it 2 years ago but doesn't oppose it now, if that is the case. Thank you.
Delia Hamlet, New England Avenue. Good evening. Thanks so much for bringing up the Maple Street ordinance. I came here because I'd like to defend City Engineer Director Schrager. The one thing you can say about Director Schrager is he's been consistent on his stance, and that has nothing to do with him not being here. However, March 5th of 2024, he sat in that chair and he would not, after many hours of questions by me, he would not sign that paperwork. And there is a reason. He did not want to put his professional seal on it. He did not want to sign it. And I would imagine if we were to ask Director Schrager, I guarantee you Director Schrager would have loved dynamic traffic to have been sitting here tonight. And Council President, if I were you, that's exactly what I would have done tonight to protect Director Schrager, because he has been absolutely consistent in his stance. Michael Rogers was consistent. The second question, or the second point that I would have to make is to our city solicitor. My question would be, did you advise that this would be the correct statute to close the street?
Oh, excuse me.
Always
No
keeping it
idea
interesting.
what happened.
So I'd like to know if this was directed by you, if this is the correct. I think that the community and the council members deserve that this statute was advised by you. You're the professional, and at the end of the day, they rely on your guidance.
All questions to me, please.
They're definitely to you, but I will look at the city solicitor. I can look at whoever I would like. And finally, I guess my other question is, Council President Toth and Jamel and Bob and Michelle, in the last 3 years, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about alternatives to closing, and I include myself, 100%. We didn't spend a lot of time talking about placemaking. This is the purview of the planning board. They are responsible for the master plan reexamination, and that's really where your talent lies for these issues. So I would just encourage you to punt this to the planning board for a consistency review. Try to get it right. Let's work. We have a lot of smart members in the community that can get this right, and we have the time and the resources to do it right. So I know how hard y'all work, but ultimately, the guidance is from our city solicitor that, yes, this was the correct statute, so that, God forbid, any business owners or residents sue us, you've been given the advice from the city solicitor that this is the correct statute. And you all deserve that proper guidance. So thank you very much.
Hi. Sue Roberts, 48 Oakland Place. I'd first like to start by saying happy early Mother's Day to all the moms on the dais and the chambers. I don't believe that council's ready to vote on Maple Street ordinance this evening, and I'm asking you to table the vote until a few things can be addressed. I'm very grateful that you had Chief Peters and Chief Evers address a lot of the questions that I had. I think as a follow-up to those two, I would request that whatever barriers and all the numbers and technical language that Chief Peters threw out, that you really consider those barriers. And also my other question is, he spoke about alcohol. I'm curious to know who's monitoring alcohol use on the tables that are not associated with any restaurants. I think I'll add in the city engineer's not here, and it sounds like that seems to be a pretty crucial piece to the puzzle. So I'd ask you to table this vote until we can hear from him or he can speak to the community. I think we should survey the community. It's obviously a polarizing issue, and I think that's a fair ask at this point. And I also would like transparency on what this is actually costing us. I know that restaurants are paying a fee to use it, but there's a lot of other costs that the restaurants aren't paying, like the barriers, signage, the tables that no restaurants are specifically owning. And then I have one other issue I'd like to talk about. Last week, I emailed Councilman Crisafulli to ask if we could speak via phone regarding a large campaign donation made to his campaign from two partners that are involved in one of the restaurants that's going to greatly benefit from this closure. I asked if we could speak in person because there was a lot of conjecture floating around, and I'd like to try to decipher all the noise. He responded via email and said there was nothing to decipher, that he campaigned with a promise to open a section of Maple Street, and that his supporters agreed with his positions, and that frankly he thought most people in Summit did. I think based on all the feeding at this meeting and the last meeting, that's quite debatable. While I have no doubt that Mr. Crisafulli's supporters agree, as an elected council member, you all now represent all the residents of Summit, not just your constituents. I asked Councilman Crisafulli again if we could speak via phone, and I never received a response. Had we had the opportunity to speak via phone, I would have asked the following. While I'm sure the donations were completely legal, two of the partners associated with this restaurant donated the maximum amount for a total of $11,000 to Councilman Crisafulli's campaign, and that represents over 50% of the total he received.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm asking you to abstain from the vote, please. Thank you.
Well, my name's Dylan Baker. I am the owner of Summit House Restaurant and Barbacoa Restaurant at 10 Maple Street and 395 Springfield Avenue. I would like to address the previous comment. My business partners made that donation to Christopher's campaign. They support democratic causes. Full stop, support democratic causes. There's other members on this dais who they've donated to. They've donated in mayoral races. This is not a thing, believe me. We're not here to try and make money off of Maple Street. I live it every day. I see thousands of people, 1,000+ people a week through Summit House and Barbacoa. We've done surveys. We've handed out cards. We have a 99% community approval. If you put this on a ballot in November, you would see a sweeping majority approve this. And they would approve it for much longer than the 10 weeks that are being proposed. It's actually quite hurtful that you think that we are here to give 11 grand to try and work our asses off to try and make this community better. People in the town want it. We are on the front line of it. We hear it all the time. The 10 people in the room who are against it, and forgive me, the medical emergency, I do feel for your daughter, but this is not an issue. A traffic pattern, a disturbance, an orange barricade, we have the votes for this. If you put this on the ballot in November, it will win by a landslide, an absolute landslide, and for much longer, much, much longer. Close it in May, open it back up in October. That's what the people really want. The people, a majority of the people, not 10 people in a room yelling at you, council. So, not yelling. Everyone's been very kind and gracious, I'm sure. But sorry, that hurt. When you accuse my partners of trying to fix something, they were literally supporting Dan, and that's as far as it goes. It's a democratic cause. I do not know how this got politicized. I quite honestly don't. But this was going to happen years ago. It should have happened years ago. I'm glad it's being brought up now, and I thank you for your time.
Hi, Rosemary Zotti, Shumpike Road. We keep hearing about surveys and studies that were conducted claiming 80% or more of Summit residents want outdoor dining on Maple Street. How, when, and where were all those surveys and studies taken? Was the opportunity to take the survey on the City of Summit's website? How did the council notify Summit residents that there was a survey available to get their input? Was a survey sent to a representative sample of Summit residents, meaning age groups, income groups, gender groups, the area of Summit where they live? If not, it's not a valid survey, and you cannot claim this is what Summit residents want, since some groups were likely underrepresented or not represented at all. I'm a lifelong resident of Summit. I did not receive or hear about any survey regarding Maple Street's closure. None of my family, neighbors, or friends did either. You should probably stop quoting that 80% or more of Summit residents want outdoor dining on Maple Street. Also, it's interesting that council is concerned about pedestrian safety and traffic calming at Tadlock Field, but not safety and traffic in the middle of town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Nora Radist, and I live at 18 Blackburn Place. And I want to thank you all for all your hard work, so to every single one of you. One of the few positive outcomes of the pandemic was the increased sense of community in town. From volunteering to purchase food from our local restaurants to bring to the healthcare workers at Overlook, raising money to support our Summit merchants during the lockdown, ordering takeout as often as possible, and being able to gather for a meal at the Maple Street dining area. I cannot tell you the vast number of residents who thanked me and council for providing the outdoor dining space, not only during the pandemic, but also thereafter. In 2024, many people approached me and asked if the Maple Street outdoor dining would continue. But as I was no longer mayor, I could not give them an answer. Not once during these years, when property taxes decreased one year and increased only slightly in two others, did any resident thank me for the zero to low tax increases. And Summit residents care about their taxes, and they pay attention, but they weren't. They were more happy, it was more important to them that they have this opportunity to gather. I firmly believe that our residents want these opportunities to bring people together and to get away from staring at their screens. In talking with many merchants, I know that foot traffic has decreased in the last year or so. Outdoor dining on Maple Street brings people to town. I know that not everyone is in favor of this, but a large number of our residents are in favor. One of the bedrocks of our democracy is the concept that elected officials govern for the benefit of the greater good, not for the few. I know there were certain things to work out, kinks, operational discussions, so forth, but I do believe that it will be important to this community. It will help ensure vibrancy in the town, and I do support the opening of Maple Street for outdoor dining. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll email this to you, Mrs.
Thank you.
Lichties.
Good evening. Council President, Mayor, members of council, Greg Vartan, 14 Russell Place. I'm a former council president and current chair of the Summit Democrats. People donate to council candidates because they believe those candidates have the skills, experience, and vision to move this city in the right direction. 5 out of 5, all Democrats running in the last 2 years campaigned and won because of their many concrete ideas to improve this community. Ideas with broad appeal across the political spectrum. Ideas like restoring Maple Street as a pedestrian plaza. Some of those who have spoken against the Maple Street closure have given money to the council members who oppose the Maple Street pedestrian plaza. Among donors to the Summit Republicans and their candidates are a property owner on Maple Street, a developer in Hoboken, and a former chair of the New Jersey Republican State Committee, just as examples. Campaign issues draw donors. Last year, the Republican mayor and members of council sought to make the Tatlock Lights proposal a central campaign issue. It is another topic with broad bipartisan appeal. However, they did that while hundreds of thousands of dollars were accepted anonymously as donations toward the project. The first time anything like that has happened in modern Summit history. It pains me tremendously to see attacks on our neighbors, volunteers, and business owners. Our community is being ripped apart by lies, manufactured fear, and distractions that are being supercharged by unlimited campaign money. This must stop. In his 1981 inaugural address, President Ronald Reagan said, "It's time for us to realize that we are too great a nation to limit ourselves to small dreams. Fellow Hilltoppers, I submit to you now, Summit is too great a city to limit ourselves to small dreams. I believe in this council majority. I thank you for the way you ran, the way you are leading with your values, and the way you are governing. I hope you know that what you are doing and how you are doing it will help us heal and dream big." Thank you. I'll email you, Rose.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Fagan, Council President Toth, members of council and staff. I'm Jim Bennett, BENNETT, 38 Fairview Avenue. I'll make this one very short. I will submit on the op-ed that was published May 3rd in TAP, titled "Council Has More Homework to Do Before Closing Maple Street," and to make that part of the record, I will place it here in the box. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Emmy Havas, and I'm the owner of Paperfolio at 4 Beechwood Road. I've been in business in town for 42 years, so I kind of have a little bit of history on the street in the retail sense. I remember back in 1993 when Baltusrol was hosting the U.S. Open, and I was chairman of SDI. I served on the SDI board for 27 years. And we begged council at that time to allow us to have outdoor dining. And it was a fight royale, I have to tell you. And they finally conceded. And actually, I think part of this ordinance that you have, that I took off the computer today, was partly written by the SDI and the Chamber of Commerce. So we were, because council said to us, fine, but help us out with this. And we did help them. When COVID came around, I was right in with everybody. I was on conference calls with, or Zoom calls with Mayor Radist and other people, and we were all in on keeping the restaurants open any way we could to bring people to town. Everybody was. There was no question. Do I love outside dining? I adore outside dining. It's one of the nicest things on a night like this, that you can walk into town or drive into town and sit outside and enjoy a leisurely meal. We have approximately 53 restaurants. I don't want to say restaurants, but places that put tables out on the street where you can sit and eat either what you bought inside or order. Excuse me. As I roughly went through the list of SDI's restaurants on their website, 23 of them right now offer outside dining. So you can dine and outside in Summit. And to think that we have to close a street to allow that to happen is just a little bit beyond the pale. It is a disruption in town. I can tell you, I'm here in my store 5 days a week. I'm usually here on my day off or on Sunday. It does make traffic difficult. You are taking parking spaces away. It may bring people to town, but there's a difference between bringing people to town and people coming to town to spend money in the retail stores and in the other restaurants. Now, the other restaurants that have dining outside are going to benefit to some extent. But to say that we don't have outside dining in Summit really is not true. I really think there's more homework that has to be done on this. I agree with everybody who said, you've got to get out and talk to the retail people. You have to. Nobody talks to us about anything. SDI should be doing it, and I'm on their case about that. But you really have to hear from the other people in town and how it affects our businesses. And I'm not saying they'll come back to you and say yes, 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 as we all did in COVID. But you have to do that. You have to include them, because I know there's a lot of unrest out there that nobody asks me anything. So that would help you out if you did that. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Janie Racklin. I own 29 Maple Street. I love Summit. My family has had a presence in this town since 1906. It's regrettable that I have to speak before the council on the same subject time after time. And it seems regrettable to me that most of you have already made up your minds to vote for Maple Street closure before you listen to our concerns. According to your surveys, which I have not received one since COVID, many people like the idea, but that does not mean that they will partake of it. It may appear to be charming to dine in the streets, but appearances are not all they seem to be. By closing Maple Street, you're placing undue inconveniences on us and Summit Avenue. Summit Avenue is already seriously congested. The block between Union Place and Springfield Avenue has, I believe, 7 food establishments, making it difficult to park and/or pick up food, and that will just get worse. Now you want to add a potential plethora of emergency vehicles who previously would share the burden with Maple Street. Losing one of only 2 thoroughfares makes no sense. My main concern is the safety of downtown and its traffic, meaning emergency vehicles, delivery access, contractor access, and parking, mainly handicap access parking. When one considers the loss of the Chestnut Street parking lot and the temporary loss of the tiered lot, not to mention the loss of revenue because of that, do you really want to add to the congestion? I have a couple of quick questions. What is a pop-up retail? Is that an outside retail or somebody that's already on the street? Anybody?
We'll answer
A
all
pop-up
questions.
retail?
We'll answer questions after all the public.
Okay,
members of the public
then
have spoken.
quickly, will retailers on Maple Street be invited to set up on the street? Who will be cleaning and maintaining the non-restaurant seating areas? Will there be porta potties on the streets? Because our businesses are not going to become public restrooms. And what fees will the restaurants be paying, and who receives that money? The town, SDI, or who? And will there be a curfew on the street? Because there are people who live on Maple Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce Starkhoff. I own 26 Maple Street. I've been in front of the council, I guess, what is this, the 3rd or 4th time that we're discussing closing Maple Street. I can remember when it was closed originally. It was closed, I guess, through the end of October or into November. This gentleman was talking about that he should extend it into October. And looking down the street in those months, those cold months, seeing one chair sitting in the middle of the street, but closing the damn street. Does that make any sense? I mean, the Maple Street is one of 2 north-south arteries. It's important that it stays open. You and Summit Avenue, you get a water main break, and then you get a fire, and the fire trucks have to come down Maple Street. They're going to get they will get slowed up in the process of getting to the fire. How many times have you heard that minutes, seconds make a difference in saving lives? You people, the green, why with the green the Village Green. Why can't something be set up over there for outdoor dining? Let all the restaurants participate in it. They can buy food trucks. They can set themselves up to deliver meals, and you have entertainment over there. Why do you have to close a street? My insurance went up 25% last year. I don't know if this is going to affect my insurance rates. You're going to have more loitering people down around. You have to have more safety. You have to have police around. Nobody's cleaning up. Believe me, I had to sweep the streets almost every week when you had the street closed for dining, and it looked like a mess. And what about the propane tanks? A fire hazard. They used to be lined up in the alley. Are you going to allow propane tanks again? Somebody's got to answer these questions. I mean, it's a fight. All these buildings on Maple Street are over 100 years old. You get one fire on a building in Maple Street that gets going, the whole block can go. The whole block. And who's going to be liable for it? The council passed it, I hope you guys have a lot of liability insurance. You talk about rodents. Union Place and down that area has been noted for rodents all the time. Now you want to even bring more rodents down to Maple Street and have the owners have to pay for the people to come and take care of it. It doesn't make sense. This thing has not been really digested, thought about, and all the consequences brought together. I don't know why we're sitting here year after year and bringing this up. And Maple Street, why isn't Summit Avenue closed? Why isn't Union Avenue closed? Give all the restaurants in town an opportunity. If you're going to close a street, close one street this year, close another street next year,
Thank you.
and another street the year after. I think you should table the ordinance. Don't take a vote tonight before you start thinking about what all these other people have said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Lee. I live on Pearl Street, and I'm seeing a repetitive theme here in my mind. It seems like the things that bring people together, the dog park, the lights, Maple Street, or some outdoor dining, brings opposition in forms of the need for safety and inconvenience. And I think, we can't legislate safety. We can create opportunities for people to come together, and that's really what makes a community. That's what makes us so great, the ways in which we can come together and giving people those opportunities. I met so many people at the dog park last year in town, and it was probably more than I met in the last 6 years since we moved here all at once, like so many people in the span of just a few weeks. And I just love creating these opportunities. Actually sitting at the last Maple Street closure, Councilman Boyer talked me into doing something very unsafe. He talked me into letting my kids play football for Summit. And, and obviously my older one is graduated now. He's playing football somewhere else at Franklin Marshall. But the point is, both my boys broke their collarbones in the last 6 months. Very unsafe. And at the same time, I wouldn't want to miss the joys that we've had by being able to come together with other people in the community, with the football parents, with the dog people, sitting out at Maple Street back then with Councilman Boyer. And all these opportunities to come together are, for us as human beings, I think the most important things where we can live together. We can, like our chiefs, both chiefs have stated, we can work around the problems and work around the challenges of the logistics that all comes with that. So let's work on making this a great community and doing everything we can to come together as often as possible.
Thank you.
Daniel Jackson, 28 Morris Avenue. When COVID hit, There was a national finance emergency, and there was a national health emergency. So people were doing regular and irregular things, abnormal things, and one of them was the road closures. You couldn't serve people inside. So everybody pulled together. We would sacrifice whatever we had to do to get past that. Fast forward post-COVID. We don't have, the roads are owned by everybody. There's no special interest. Private individual or restaurant or non-restaurant. I want to co-opt this public street for my financial gain. You can't do that. It belongs to all of us. That's why when I hear this majority, minority, what does the survey show? That a majority would favor, I don't know if a majority, maybe a majority of Summit residents would be against it. I don't know. But I don't see the relevance when you're talking about public streets anymore if you're talking about public parks or public buildings. That belongs to all of us. And of course, I hear this, well, it's not just to help out, it's not just to help out special interests, which I suspect it seems to be, but it's to help the whole business community. Watch the December 6th, 2022 council meeting where SDI's hired consultant talks to everybody about his report. I want to know if there was any empirical evidence that he presented, that the business community was somehow going to it was going to improve the business district. There was none. Not one piece. There was assertions by him. Oh yeah, of course it brings people together. But what surveys, anything what we call them empirical, I'll call them empirical, nothing. You also have businesses that tell you that they lost. As far as this, again, this majority-minority viewpoint, if Summit Avenue was closed and there's an accident on Summit Avenue and there's an emergency on Maple Street, or Maple Street is closed, or you come home and somebody says, oh, by the way, our neighbors down the street was hurt, and they felt if Maple Street had been open, there would have been a better response time, or maybe there was a fire, that maybe there would have been a better response time. What are you going to say? Are you going to say, gee, that's too bad, but isn't democracy great? No, the roads belong to all of us. Vote no, not just for a few. Vote for all of us. All Summit residents.
Hi, my name is Henry Bassman. I live at 18 Hartley Road. I'm in favor of closing Maple Street. I'm looking forward to it. The design or the parameters that were written into the description that I read on the packet for the agenda show me that there'll be opportunity for more than just commercial dining. Be a place where people can get together, where they can sit and people watch, where kids who are not in summer camp, sleepaway summer camp, can hang out a little bit in the evening where it's open and safe, where old folks like myself can go and do some people watching. So the two other things that kind of concern me are the closure of Maple Street, as I understand it, has to be reapplied for each year. So what you're proposing here is for this year. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it won't happen again. The other thing is, a lot of concerns have been raised, and they'll be addressed, I'm sure, in implementation. The final thing is, I hear a lot about there are only 2 thoroughfares to get from northern part of downtown to the southern part of downtown. And everybody who complains about closing Maple Street, leaving only one access north and south, forgets about Morris Avenue and Broad Street, which are broad, large thoroughfares that take you very quickly from the north side of the business district to the south side of the business district. It's going to be fine, and I think it's going to add to the quality of life in Summit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Rosie.
Tony?
I'm going to read something from Millie Cooper, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. She's ill. And
Excuse me, Council President, what was the name of this speaker?
It's Tony Melchiona.
Thank you.
I apologize. Anthony Melchiona, multiple property owner on Maple Street.
That helps. Thank you.
You're welcome. From Millie Cooper. I've asked Tony Melchiona to read this for me to be entered into the minutes of the May 5th, 2026 Common Council meeting. I am Millie Cooper, former councilman at large, 1990 to 1996, City of Summit. I live at 1 Euclid Avenue in Summit. 65-year Summit resident. I'm writing to oppose the closing of Maple Street for 3 months, June, July, August. At the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, our wonderful town was carefully being planned on the top of a ridge of small hills. The streets were laid out in an orderly and safe manner. At the turn of the century, as the automobile came into being, the city's fathers, Common Council, worked and discussed many hours the street organization for the new community. With beauty and safety at stake, they made the decision to depress the railroad tracks. Yes, one day the railroad actually ran above ground to make traffic more free-flowing and natural. The railroad station and the village green were designated as the natural gathering place. This configuration remains today with Summit Avenue and Maple Street flanking Beechwood Road, and Union Place with the railroad station at the center. It remains that way today. Our citizens and shopkeepers are expecting that natural flow they speak of and ease of our town. Please do not interfere with the ease of travel to our houses of worship, our schools, ball fields, the Ys, pharmacies, retail shops, and so forth. Beechwood Road is the natural place for action, music, singing, dancing, and lovely entertainment. It is wider, more open-looking, and it spills over asking for more fun. Maple Street does not. Its job in life is to carry traffic and have sidewalks for retail. Do not make all of us detour around using our gas for a few restaurants to serve us in the street. Just doesn't make sense. Thank you for listening and the time you give the community. Appreciated, Millie Cooper, who is one of the grand dames. I see I only have 30 seconds. A little bit of facts here as far as property owners on Maple Street. The west side of Maple Street, which the Finn restaurant is on, 5 of 6 property owners are not in favor of this, including the property owner of Finn restaurant. On the Elk side, 6 of the 10 property owners are not in front of this, nor are there businesses, nor are there residents, and nor are there offices above and below. 3 of those properties are on the sidelines, quote, as they've told me, Summit House, and the one building that I mentioned on the west side of Maple Street, which houses Nando Jewelers and Love Story, are owned by the same Walter Trust estate. So there it is, 5 out of 6 on one side, 6 out of 10 on the other side. Is anybody listening to us? We pay plenty of taxes, and I've been here before, you know my mantra. And one of my risks and rewards that I quoted 2 weeks ago was, if and when this passes, and I think it will, prepare for a lawsuit. Thank you.
Okay.
Council President,
council members. My name is Ray Merritt. I lived in town for a very short period of time, 23 years. So I can't compete with the people that are lifers, but I have a vast experience in the restaurant business, in eating and enjoying the outside dining all over the world. I will tell you that one of the problems I have with Summit is that you are adamantly opposed to any change. The way the world is going, we need change. We saw it in COVID, we ate outside, they bent the rules everywhere to give opportunities to eat outside. I've been working constantly to go find places to eat outside. Summit has great outdoor dining. Yes, sitting on a curb, looking at the car headlights pull up every time you take a bite of food, not my idea of great dining. I don't know, no cast aspersions to any restaurants in town. It's nice to sit outside, but it would be nice to have a town where you could go to a place a few months a year in a convivial environment, friendly environment. Yes, it's a few restaurants, but you can go, public tables, public chairs, some restaurants that had outdoor dining, and have a nice meal. I have a huge family. I have a lot of friends from out of town. It brings people here. We use it all the time. It makes it a destination. And I will tell you, we have a farmers market that brings 3,000 to 4,000 people in here a week that are not from Summit. It brings business into town. I believe in my heart of hearts that having the restaurant space and the outdoor space for a couple months here, when a lot of residents are not here, and the idea of the traffic being a problem, we have the experts here, the professionals, police and fire, telling us it won't be a problem. I feel for the property owners. It's the old not in my backyard problem. So there's not going to be anywhere in the town or the city that we're going to have that we could do this, that someone's not going to have a problem with it. If you put it in a park, the people who live next to the park are going to have a problem. If you live by a school, you have to deal with school buses. If you live by a Tatlock, you have to deal with lights. It's going to inconvenience someone if you do anything. And I'm sick of hearing, I've been here 23 years, the number one topic in Summit is parking. Okay, we have gigantic parking lots in the back. I drive by them every day, they're empty. So people have to learn they can't park in front of the store they might want to go to, or the hairdresser, or the deli they want to go to. They can park and walk a little bit. We have to change the way we do business if we want to thrive and have a community where it's interesting to be in. And I'm not going to worry that I can pull up in front of Starbucks, run inside and get my drink, and run back out to my car. I agree. So somebody said we should close every street in town. I would love to close every street in town. This should be a pedestrian town. Park all the cars out of town, like Boulder, Colorado. There are lots of towns. Close the entire town. Then you wouldn't have any worries about getting in and out of town, getting parking spots, 15-minute spots, getting parking tickets, people double parking in the crosswalks. It's a nightmare. Please, Chief, no offense. But I'll tell you, we have to change the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Molly Siebert. I live on Woodland Avenue. I wasn't anticipating speaking tonight, so sorry if I sound nervous. I don't really love speaking publicly, but I'm speaking on behalf of myself, is only 2 years here, so I know I'm new, and my brother and sister-in-law who moved here from the city, and our neighbors who I talked to about this who did live here during COVID and said coming up and dining outdoors was magical, and they would love to have that again. And I understand there are a lot of different issues, and I feel for people who have businesses and the safety issues, so I thank everyone who would make it possible if this is so, and maybe it's not Maple Street, maybe it's somewhere else. I just know being here now, I have a 6th grader, and she loves walking to town with her friends, and I feel like my kids are almost living like a little bit of a throwback in this community where it's safe for them to walk around, and they can come into town, and they can meet with friends. And I love the idea of more places for them in the summer. We don't have a shore house, so we're not going away. And it's just, I think it's a lovely thing. And I love this community, and I just think more things like this are fabulous. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is that it?
Council President, Mayor, Hi, I'll keep the new resident trend going. My name is Peter Corso. I live 83 Union Place, so right on the corner of Union and Maple. My last name's Corso. I've been a Summit resident, I think 4 months to the day. So very excited to be. I definitely picked an interesting council meeting as my first. So I really appreciate the discourse that's been heard today, and appreciate the passionate, active civic community that Summit is. It was a big draw to the town, as was the downtown itself. Downtown Summit was a massive draw. I appreciate being able to walk pretty much everywhere except the grocery store and the gas station, though you can walk to a gas station from downtown. But I'd like to focus on a couple pieces of the debate this evening, especially around traffic and some other things. So I had a chance to read the NJDOT traffic study that was completed at the end of March. I found it really interesting. I thought they did a very thorough job. And I think the biggest takeaway for me, which the police chief echoed, was that there will be minimal increase in traffic volume to the Summit Union Franklin intersection as a result of the closure, that other relevant intersections will operate at similar levels during the closure to how they operate now with Maple Street open. And one suggestion actually from the study, I believe that the chief, thank you again, mentioned, was that mitigating signalized intersections by just kind of varying them and seeing how the traffic flow goes, being able to mitigate that process as it goes along could help improve the traffic flow for any detriment that there is. So I encourage the council to implement that as you go along, if the closure goes along. Separately from the study, it's my understanding that there will be space for neutral seating, whether that's space for yoga mats or someplace to set up tables for neutral dining, I guess is the term. I think this is a fantastic way to involve other businesses in the area and encourage, provide additional community space for residents to enjoy the closure. And I'd like to, again, encourage the council to consider allowing other businesses in the area to, I think somebody else mentioned, put up some pop-up shops. Again, it gets other businesses in the area involved, kind of spreads the wealth a little bit, as it were, with the perception that it may only favor a couple of businesses. And my bottom line, is kind of a point of personal privilege, is that this scenario, whether Maple Street closes or some other outdoor space can be converted into a pedestrian area, it does more than provide outside dining. It incentivizes community engagement, and I understand that that outlook can be kind of deemed trivial, just looking for ambiance, but I believe it's more than that. I came to Summit, I saw the active downtown and the walkable downtown, and I believe that with continued attention and mitigation, this will eventually be for the city's welfare. So I appreciate the council's time. I look forward to hearing the responses to the questions, and thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Anonymous. It's only 3 minutes, but I'm against this whole council majority. So I'm doing a documentary, and I'm going to highlight my attendance in Summit, and my documentary will also explain why I'm against its final adoption and why I'm against this council majority in general. So, start off. Jacqueline, smile, you're on camera. Or not. Michelle, smile, you're on camera. There we go, we got a giggle. All right. This was hard, wasn't it? Bob, smile, you're on camera. Bob was always good to me. Gave me shit. He always was willing to take criticism. Claire, you're on camera. Smile. Come on. Come on. So we're going to still do the discriminatory tier status of non-residents speaking last. Mayor Fagan, ever since I came here, you always waved to me. You always smiled. You always made me feel welcome. This discriminatory tier status of non-residents speaking last is not a way to welcome people. And it doesn't align with your political values, to be quite frank. It's the kind of mentality back when slavery existed, back when women couldn't vote. Jamel, smile, you're on camera.
I'm a little under the weather with allergies, but you know, I'm trying to do.
Always was gave him a lot of crap. And was always professional. Always professional. That's what a public official should be. Chantel, smile, you're on camera. All right. Dan, smile, you're on camera. Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what I say anyway. You guys don't care. This council majority doesn't care. So I'll just overlay some comments about my experience of each one of you, and I'll turn my 3-minute public comment into like a 15-minute video, and I'll give my analysis, why I'm against this final adoption, why I'm against this council majority, you know? So let's just get a couple shots that I'll need for my documentary. Part of the documentary?
My permission. You want to be part of the release before you can take my picture.
We need a release for that.
It's not the way that, you want to be part of the documentary, I guess.
I don't want to be part of your document.
Then maybe you should have been quiet, you know? They're nervous, some people. You jump in front of the camera, friend. No, you'll be part of it now. There's no expectation of privacy in public.
Really?
Yeah. This is how you show people who were in the meeting. Show the public, the general public, other than you guys, you know, who came to the meeting. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then the public comment portion of the hearing is closed. We can move on to council member comments. Councilmember Belowski, lead us off.
Okay, so when I was thinking about this hearing and what I was going to say, I thought it would be appropriate if Rod Serling could be here to introduce me, and I think he might say, there's a fifth dimension beyond which is known to man. This is the dimension of imagination, an area we call the Twilight Zone. So here we are talking about an ordinance that, in my opinion, is inaccurate, right? The ordinance says, the very first line, whereas NJSA 40:67-16.9 authorizes the governing body of the City of Summit to provide by regulation for the closing of any street or portion thereof to motor vehicle traffic, etc. That's not what the statute says. What the statute says, as our city solicitor made clear before, was that it authorizes the council to authorize the mayor or other chief executive of the municipality, but the mayor is our chief executive, to authorize the closure of a street when she finds it necessary for the preservation of the public safety, health, or welfare. So one of the problems that I have with this and the whole way that it was unveiled to the public is transparency, right? We had a version of this ordinance that actually said what the statute said. And right before the introduction, we replaced it with another one that says something that the statute does not say. So I have a problem with that from a transparency perspective. We also, as a council, got the traffic report from Dynamic Traffic the evening before, or the afternoon before, the ordinance was introduced. It wasn't attached to the packet, and it wasn't published by the city for like over a week after we had the initial introduction. That's not transparent either. And you know, everybody up here always preaches transparency and process, and it's like, what are we doing? We're switching out ordinances, and anyway. So as I've heard tonight, people who spoke out in favor of this introduction say things like, it's cool, it's a great vibe, it's wonderful, it's magical, people love it, we can meet people, we can do yoga on asphalt. I added that one. You know, some have suggested that we should bend the rules to make it happen. What I've heard from people who are against it or are uncertain about it, are more legitimate safety concerns, questions about whether we've thought this through, whether we've really done the due diligence that's necessary before making a decision like this. And just to touch on that, and I have a whole lot more, so. But there are two fundamental questions here, right? Beyond the fact of whether we like it, whether we love it, and most people like outdoor dining. Outdoor dining's great. But under the state law, under the traffic code, any street closure for more than 48 hours has to be certified by the city engineer, who's not here. And one of the things that he has to certify to is that closing the street is in the expedition of traffic on our city streets. Expedition means that it's going to speed it up. It's going to make it easier to get around. And I think this traffic report says the opposite, if anybody's read it. And the second question is, under this statute that we're relying on to close the street, or maybe relying on to close the street, that the closure is necessary for the preservation of the public safety, health, or welfare. I've asked these questions to my fellow council members repeatedly, and I've never gotten an answer. I've also never gotten an answer to the question of, why does it have to be Maple Street? I think they, have said that that's where the best restaurants are. And there's very good restaurants on Maple Street. There's very good restaurants elsewhere. And I will say, Dylan, my favorite bite of food in this town has got to be the Baja Taco at Barbacoa. But I don't think that's a reason to close Maple Street. So one of the questions that I asked months ago was, are we talking to the property owners and are we talking to the business owners to see what they have to think? And I suggested that we talk to all of them, right? We don't want to just pick winners and losers on one street or another. But what I've heard from here tonight is that a lot of the property owners on Maple Street were never approached. And Lori Cambios wasn't asked. And Michelle, I sent you an email about 2 months ago when I was told that you were the one that was in charge of speaking to all these people and doing your survey, however scientific or unscientific it was. I asked you to let me know, who are you talking to? What have they said so far? Who do you have left to talk to? What's the feedback been? Never got an answer. And we now hear that 11 out of 16 building owners on just that one block of Maple Street are against this. That would have been useful information to have prior to ruling on this, and I don't know if any of the other council members were aware of that. So some other issues that I have is that the engineer's not here. A couple of years ago, Delia Hamlet, as she said when she was in here before, asked Director Schrager point blank, can you certify that this is in the expedition of traffic on our city streets? And he said no. And I had a whole bunch of questions that I would have asked Director Schrager or even Dynamic Traffic if they were here, and they should be here, right? I mean, this is an important hearing, and people are saying, trust the experts, trust the experts. Where are they? Why can't we test their theories? And I don't even think that there's anything in this traffic report that would support that closure of Maple Street's in the expedition of traffic or necessary for the public health and safety. Some of the questions that I would have asked Director Schrager is, do you still have to certify that the closure is in the interest of the expedition of traffic on our streets? And he would have said yes. He'd have to say yes because that's the state law. How does the traffic study support this notion? Well, it really doesn't. It says that it will slow it down a little bit. And maybe it's just a little bit, but that's not expedition. What's changed in the last few years? I don't know what he would have said to that. I don't even know if he's going to certify to this. I think he's put in his resignation, and I don't know when his last day is going to be. I don't know when the certification is going to come. It's my understanding that emails and documents have been exchanged with the DOT already, and this goes back weeks. I've asked for them. Nobody's given them to me. Another question that I would ask is, did the dynamic traffic study account for the fact that the tier garage or portions of it are going to be closed over the exact same time that Maple Street's closed? I don't think that they did. They don't say anything about it in there. And I don't know how many, there's 200, 300, 400 parking spaces in there. You know, people are going to come to Summit thinking that they can park there like they usually do to go enjoy a meal on Maple Street, and they're going to find that there's nowhere to park. Isn't that going to be more cars driving around just because of that unique circumstance that the parking garage happens to be closed this summer? Is that something that we should be thinking about? Maybe this isn't the right year to do a test run, as Mr. Bassman noted, that this has to be renewed year after year. Maybe next year's the right year to do a test run. Did the dynamic traffic experts account for the fact that although our public schools were in session, our 3 private high schools were away on spring break? Did they account for that? I don't know. I don't think so. Doesn't say anything about that. Another question that I would have asked them is, why isn't this study, which is, I don't even know if it's a study, it says it's a memorandum. It's dated April 14th, 2026. It's not sealed by the engineer. It's my understanding that engineers, when they give a formal opinion that someone's supposed to rely on, they're supposed to affix their official seal. I would have asked him that. I don't know what the answer to that would be. The next question that I would ask him is, Director Schrager, your concept plan does have your official seal. And it was sealed on March 31st, 2 weeks before we received the dynamic traffic report. Did you consider the dynamic traffic report when you did your concept plan? Shouldn't you have? Would it have been any different? Would we have needed to make changes before we attached it to this ordinance and asked the council to approve it? Let's see. You know, I've always thought this was a foregone conclusion, that this council would do everything in their power to pass this, but I at least thought that we were going to do the due diligence necessary to give the council a reasonable basis, not only to vote on this, but to pass it. And unfortunately, you know, we didn't do that due diligence. I had sent Councilwoman LaSaracina an email with 33 things that I thought we ought to do so that we could make an informed decision. One of those was, as Ms. Zadi said, a real survey, right? Not like a survey that says, hey, if you like eating steak on Maple Street, click yes here, right? Like a survey after we do the due diligence that says, we're considering closing Maple Street. There are pros and there are cons, and here they are. So that when people say whether they want to close Maple Street for outdoor dining, do they know that it's going to be closed 24/7 for 3 months on rainy days when nobody's eating out there? Do they know that it's going to inhibit their ability to get across town? And yes, Morris Ave does go across town, Henry, but not really. I mean, you really have to go out of the way. And I had a conversation with our fire chief, who is in a different situation in his responding to calls, because, well, first of all, the old firehouse was, I mean, if you look at a map of Summit, it is a bullseye in the dead center of town. It's not there anymore. It's also my understanding, my wife told me she met somebody who did this, worked on this master plan as a professional, and gave a little bit of the history that when they designed Broad Street and Maple Street, they made it extra wide so fire trucks could turn down there to get to the north side of town. So I asked our fire chief, if there's a fire on Hawthorne Place, which of course is where our mayor lives, how would you get there? And he said, well, we would come up Broad Street to Summit Ave, and we'd take Summit Ave. And I said, okay, and if it's rush hour and there's a whole lot of traffic there, what do you do? It's usually not a problem, he said. we fire up the sirens, we fire up the lights, and people get out of the way. Okay, fair enough. But what if there's an accident? That's the number one place where pedestrians are hit in this town, and we had an increase in that in the first quarter this year. Closing Maple Street's going to divert more cars there. What if there's an accident there? And his answer was, well, and I take Maple Street. Okay, and if Maple Street's closed, what would you do? Well, I would drive all the way down Broad Street, all the way around City Hall, and then I'd make my way there from, I'd make my way to Hawthorne Place from there. I think that is necessarily going to be a delay, and as we saw in the last meeting, seconds matter when you're doing an emergency response. The fire trucks don't have the ability to go under the train track bridge at Park Avenue, so they can't go around there. My next question was, how would you get to Argyle Court, which is where my former esteemed opponent Diego lives? And even though that fire department is probably less than a quarter mile away from Argyle Court as the crow flies, you'd have to drive like, I don't know how far it is, a mile, 2 miles out of the way in order to get there. That's going to cause a delay. And while I'm talking about emergency delays, I have another anecdote, but I think it's an important one that was emailed to the council this week. And it has to do with an incident that happened in Millburn before they made the decision to no longer close Main Street. My name is Sue Valles, and I have been requested to make a statement regarding your proposal to close a street in Summit for outdoor dining. The reason for this request is because I live in Millburn and my late husband Armando was a victim of such an occurrence. You see, on July 1st, 2023, Armando suffered a heart attack, and the Millburn First Aid Squad, as wonderful as they are, had such difficulty navigating through the streets due to Main Street being closed for outdoor dining and fun. During this harrowing ordeal of twists and turns in a town full of people and the added time it took to get him to the hospital, Armando suffered another heart attack. No one knows what this is like until you've experienced it, of which I hope no one ever has to. Luckily, he survived, but with consequences. He had to be hooked up to a life vest, external defibrillator, and cease his cancer meds, of which he was on for years to control his cancer from spreading. He was doing well prior to the incident. Unfortunately, after this incident, my husband had to stop his cancer meds for some time. And every time he restarted, it put a strain on him due to damage from the heart attacks and had to stop. He just passed in December, the saddest day of our lives. I firmly believe the urgency of getting him to the hospital may have prevented additional damage, and he could possibly still be here with us. This we will never know. And she says some other things, and I'll give this to Rosie to put in the minutes if anybody else cares to read the balance of it. But these are real concerns, and they are things that could come to pass. So I have some more questions that wouldn't have been for the engineer that I have also asked my fellow council members, and I still haven't gotten any answers from them. And I mentioned this before. Why does it have to be Maple Street, right? Outdoor dining is great, okay? People love outdoor dining. But the only answer that I've gotten, again, is that that's where the restaurants that they want to go to are. Are there any other options? I know Mayor Fagan, and she may speak about this, has made other options. Our master plan suggests other options. They thought about this back in 2000, and as Millie Cooper's statement said, Beechwood was the road that they came up with. It's not quite the through street that Maple Street is. You could close Beechwood between Bank Street and Springfield Ave, have a nice outdoor pedestrian plaza, still allow traffic to flow around, and not lose the parking at the Bank Street lot. The master plan suggests some other things as well. It talks about our traffic circulation and talks about different kinds of roads. And Maple Street is what's known as a collector street, where traffic from main streets go when they can't get through those main streets. It's vital to our infrastructure. And our master plan says, quote, says that such collector streets should, quote, be safeguarded from overuse and intrusive development. Isn't the closure of a collector road the ultimate intrusion? I don't even think that's debatable. I mean, it definitely is. Aren't we, as the governing body, the ones charged with safeguarding Maple Street and other collector streets from such intrusions like outdoor dining? I think we are. Will this ordinance go to the planning board for a consistency review? I don't know. Maybe somebody up here can answer that. I think it should. You know, they are the experts on this. They're the ones that created our traffic circulation plan. They're the ones that can give us a good opinion on what the impact will be. Someone, again, and I mentioned this before, but somebody mentioned that, you know, the not in my backyard concern, and that, you know, people are always going to be against something. I think we should at least ask. When we did the Tatlock review, Councilman Smallwood and I spent countless hours speaking to residents in open dialogue to get their opinions and to thoughtfully inform what we decided to do there. That has not happened here. It just hasn't. Again, you know, 11 out of 16 building owners on one block of Maple Street, and we don't know about the other one, are against it. A number of business owners came out here tonight and said that they were against it, that it hurt their business. At the last time that we talked about this, someone came in and said that they rely heavily on people driving by and something in their windows catching their eyes. They can't do that when the street's closed. So, you know, and then what about the winners and losers, right? I mean, again, someone came in and somebody asked tonight, are we going to allow other businesses from other areas of town? I think Tony Melchione asked at the last meeting, you know, this is a public street, right? It belongs to the entire city. Should there be an open bidding process on the tables? What if somebody does? What if Mr. Ch wants to come and set up and serve hot dogs at one of those tables, right? Should he have the opportunity to do that? To the let's close every street comment, I'll quote Dave Chappelle. I wish I had more hands so I could get that 4 thumbs down. The last one, this is a little out of order because I wrote it late on the upper side here. But again, we've heard people say tonight, you can read the traffic study. I think one of the chiefs said it tonight, that this will have minimal increases in delays. And that's according to Dynamic Traffic's unsealed, possibly a study memorandum. How is that the expedition of traffic? So we have 2 major legal hurdles, and I'd love to hear from any of my fellow council members about how closing the street will expedite traffic on our city streets, and about why it's necessary for the preservation of the public safety and health. And if nobody can answer that question with a good answer and evidence and data to support it, I don't see how we could possibly vote to approve this ordinance. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Council President,
Councilmember Boyd.
I'm not going to be 20 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
Telling you right now.
Oh,
Thank you,
that's
Laura.
right. I'm so sorry. Councilmember Laceracina has a family issue and needs to leave, so I want to give her the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
I do
Thank you.
apologize,
No
Councilman
worries,
Ware,
no worries.
and I apologize to everyone. My wonderful parents are at home with my 2 small children who are probably up way too late, and I need to get home and get them into bed. On the pedestrian safety issue, the expedition of traffic, as Councilman Pulowski has raised, Councilman Pulowski kindly shared with me in advance of this meeting the number of police-recorded pedestrian incidents along Summit Ave in the last 5 years. There were 12, and as many of us drive Summit Ave regularly, you have 6, 7, 8, 9 pedestrian crosswalks in rapid succession on Summit Ave, right? Creating a pedestrian zone is a generally accepted pedestrian safety and traffic calming measure. If we are able to draw pedestrians over to the pedestrian zone on Maple Street, if this is to pass, then there will be fewer pedestrians crossing at those various crosswalks on Summit Ave, and it will then serve the expedition of traffic while also protecting our pedestrians. Public safety questions were the priority throughout the consideration of this proposal over the last several months. As I've said before, protecting the physical safety of our community is our most important responsibility. On the response time of our first responders, I have lived this. I went into cardiac arrest on Bank Street 18 months ago. I am only here because of the grace of God and the remarkable response time of our Summit Police Department, who happened to be on a nearby call. I didn't choose to put my life in their hands, but if I could, I would choose them every day because we are blessed with the best. When we have important questions, such as those regarding public safety, we ask our experts, and I put my trust in our career public safety professionals. If the risk of temporary road closure to pedestrians were intolerable, we wouldn't allow any discretionary road closures, right? We wouldn't allow arts and cars, the Halloween parade, the charity runs, such as the one we had for the Y this past weekend, pop-up closures for neighborhood block parties, but we do allow this because we've decided as a community that the potential benefit is real and we can effectively manage the potential risk. Yes, the duration is different, certainly, but the nature and magnitude of the potential risk is the same. In addition, on the public health and welfare, it's more than vibes. And scientific studies support this. Community gathering and outdoor activities have a real, measurable, positive impact on public health and welfare. I have several recent studies that I can cite. If you're interested in them, please email me. I'm happy to share them with you. We have Jackson and Stevenson et al. From 2021. We have Kondo Shiba et al. From 2023. And we have Wynn, Blair, and Pike from 2024, amidst others. This is real. Bringing the community in a healthful way. Summit is not immune to divisiveness. You may have observed some of this if you were on local social media pages over the last several weeks. We are a community, in my view, that could use some healing and some coming together. So I am supportive of this temporary closure for several weeks. Thank you. And with that, I unfortunately have to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm sorry. Back to you, Councilmember Boyer. Thank you for yielding the floor.
No worries. Jacqueline, I hope everything's okay at home. So first, let me, just some housekeeping stuff. Dylan Baker, Mr. Baker, is a good man. We don't have a lot of time, but I still remember the first day that I met him. I wasn't a councilman. I was just somebody that was looking for a place to eat. His restaurant was packed. And I was with a group of friends, my wife, and I didn't even know he was the owner. He was like, come on in, I got a spot for you. I mean, that was, that was great, and I always will think of him that way. His wife is an amazing person. His son, I coached in football. I like who I like. They're good people. And if you see my Democratic friends here, that always come in here, they're my friends too. They come in here and Boyer this, Boyer that. So, a little bit of signaling. I get it. This is not a Republican or Democratic issue. Like stop, right? And the lights aren't either. Certain people come up and make it that way, but it's not. It's just not. And I'm gonna keep it kind of short. But my thing is always security up here. I have 20, 30 years of keeping environments safe, and I provide that guidance to the council. So as your councilman, again, my primary duty is to ensure our local government operates fairly, safely, and strictly within the bounds of law. I want to be clear. I am a strong supporter of outdoor dining. However, I am not a supporter of bypassing our form of government or exposing our taxpayers to massive liability. Here's why this ordinance is flawed. Separation of powers in our city charter in Summit. Our government relies on a strict separation of powers. The city council is the legislative body. We do make laws. Sometimes Robert throws me off, man. We do make laws, and the mayor is the chief executive. The state statute being used to justify this closure explicitly grants the authority to close the street to the mayor or chief executive, not the council. And as a vigilant resident recently pointed out in an email to council, we cannot simply write an ordinance that usurps the mayor's executive authority. Furthermore, this statute requires a finding that this closure is necessary for public safety, health, or welfare. So before we move forward, I must ask the mayor directly, on record. Mayor Fagan, do you find that the closing of Maple Street is strictly necessary to preserve the safety and health of Summit residents?
I had planned to speak to this a little bit later, but I will take the opportunity now. I think it would be I thought about this, and I thought about the definition of necessary, and I was fairly certain I had a good understanding of what the word necessary meant. But to confirm, I looked it up in Webster's dictionary, and this is what I got. Absolutely needed or essential, something that cannot be done without. Obligatory or compulsory, required by law, authority, or condition, inevitable or inescapable, determined by a previous condition or sure to happen. Okay, got it. Still, required, necessary. Pretty simple. To preserve the public safety, health, or welfare of the community. No, can't say that. Can't say it. I mean, could somebody convince me that it's necessary for public safety to close a road? If there was a giant sinkhole in it, maybe. Is it necessary for the health of the community? If there were a giant sinkhole in it, if there was a building falling down in it, yeah, I could see that. Welfare being what it is, also Webster, help me out here, state of doing well, specifically regarding health, happiness, and prosperity or well-being. Heard what Councilwoman Les Saracena said, understanding that mental health is incredibly important. Mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting several hours ago. And as a physician, I understand that mental health is and welfare in that regard is very important. But is the closing of Maple Street necessary for the welfare of this community? I can't say that I can confirm that. Absolutely not. I think that there are ways to accomplish the mental health and wellness and the public safety and the health. There's a way to support those things elsewhere. The goals that are stated of this ordinance and the idea behind this is beautiful. Bring the community together. I'm all for that. Outdoor dining. I love outdoor dining. This is not the question I'm being asked. The question I'm being asked is this specific street closing necessary for the public safety, health, and welfare? And the answer is no.
Thank you. And so I'm sorry for putting you on the spot because I know you was definitely not rehearsed. So if the executive branch cannot unequivocally make the statutory finding, we have no legal basis as a council to proceed. The danger to the taxpayers. Understanding Title 59, we talk about municipal liability, we talk about Title 59. This is New Jersey's Tort Claims Act, which generally provides cities with immunity from certain lawsuits. However, Title 59 immunities can be completely voided if a municipality takes actions that are deemed palpable, unreasonable, when we deliberately place barricades in public roadways or alter traffic patterns. We risk slowing down emergency vehicles and response times to abutting properties. If an emergency response is delayed due to these closures and tragedy occurs, maybe our Title 59 protections could vanish. Some of the taxpayers would be left holding the bag. So I will not vote to gamble with public safety or public funds. And you know, I'm up here. I'm a volunteer, right? You know, I have a family, and my first job up here is safety. My second job up here is to protect my family from liability. And you know, I didn't take this job for something to happen to somebody. And I'm sitting in court, and my wife don't want me to do this anyway. And I'm sitting in court, you know, with legal fees and stuff that, you know, I can't afford or whatever. And, you know, there's a better way to do this. And I want this council to go back, look at it again, just like in the last 2 years, what I was told, not ready for prime time, but it works, some is safer. Thank you, Chief. But go back and look at this again, because our mayor said, you know, she's not for it. So if we vote for it, we are usurping the mayor's power and authority. We had a resident just came up and said that she was gonna get together with a group of people and file a lawsuit. Aren't we tired of lawsuits? God, there could be a better way to do it. I'm not against outdoor dining, but I'm against the way that this ordinance is written. This ordinance is not written correctly. And if we pass this, we open the city up to liability, and I'm not for that. And for those reasons, I am against this. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Comments.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to respond quickly to something that Councilman Pulowski said. And we've been in the same safety meetings. And regarding the state statute, it changed. It's changed since 2024. And you've asked Director Schrager if he could certify it. And when he said yes, you threatened his license. Okay? So, yes.
That's patently false.
No. No. And I think it's a shame that you wanted to do that here tonight. So what I wanted to say about Maple Street is that with Maple Street, we have a rare situation where we can truly compromise. Some people would like to see it closed right now in the spring. Some people don't want it closed at all. So we have a compromise to close it during the slowest time of the year, during summer vacation. Now, I understand people's concerns about favoring certain businesses over others, but that is not the goal. Our goal is to elevate the entire downtown by creating buzz and encouraging our residents to come out and support local businesses. I've been speaking to local shop owners, and they're telling me that shopping habits have changed. People are shopping online, and they don't see the same support from our local community that they used to. Now, I have a letter from a business owner in town talking about how fantastic it was. And I'm actually not going to read it because I don't want to make this person a target. And that's a shame because this person was targeted in the past with threatened for losing business. So I'm not going to read it, but I will say that, you know, there are some people who don't like it. They feel that maybe their business suffered, and I would say I hope that you have a different experience this time should this pass. You know, it was funny times in COVID, and shopping habits have changed, and I just really want to see our entire downtown succeed. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Do you want to have a go, Bob?
Sure, thank you. Michelle, what you just said is completely false. Yes, it is. And since we're talking about closed session, I asked Director, you just said it was.
No,
she said
she
it
said
was a
committee meeting.
It's in a safety meeting.
Safety committee.
Okay. Since we're talking about safety committee meetings, what I asked Director Schrager was, could he certify that this closure would expedite traffic. And his response was, well, it won't be that much worse than it is, and that's enough. He never answered my question, and I said, you're willing to put your seal on that? That is not threatening his license, okay? So,
So, Council President,
Yes.
I will say one
Councilmember
result
Crucifo.
is that our city chief engineer is quitting his job. So some interaction did take place. And I've spoken with him, and his presentation, our esteemed former, well, he's still with us for now, but he's putting a very positive spin on it, that he's going on to wonderful new opportunities. But he's had a difficult experience here, and we've observed it, and I've observed it as well. And so I think we need to treat our city employees with respect that they deserve. Aaron has been here 18 years, serving Republican and Democratic administrations, and suddenly now he has to leave, and I wonder why. And so I will say that. I will also say, Bob, I agree with you 100%. The Baja tacos are the best. And I wish, frankly, we could all be over at Barbacoa or the Elks or some other great place celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And so we're all here. I appreciate everybody coming out. We all care about Summit. Everybody, let me say, everybody from Summit that was here tonight cares about Summit. And you're passionate about Summit. We don't have the same, perhaps, vision for Summit. We've heard people that want it to be more convivial. Gemütlichkeit is a word that I promised I would not use tonight. It is an Austrian term that means like well-being, community good spirits. And that's what I want for Summit. I think that outdoor pedestrian areas in town are one good way that can achieve that. The dog parks, the one that opened yesterday, is another great way to bring people together. I support Tatlock lights, and I sure as hell am working collaboratively so that they can be on for the fall sports season. All of those are things that bring people together. And what I don't like is the tactics, the dirty politics of last year's campaign seeping back into our discourse in recent days. Some of those same attacks, underhanded, dirty, unfounded, and untruthful, and partial facts have been coming back, and those reflexes are damaging to Summit. We heard tonight somebody making insinuations about my supporters, all of whom I'm proud of. None of the supporters for our campaigns last year jointly were more than a small percentage of our total contributions. I'm not going to talk about the practices on the other side. You can look at those for yourself. Economic benefits. I also sit as one of my 16 committees, commissions, and boards on which I serve. I just got one added last week. One of those is the Economic Development Advisory Council. On that, I learned that the city has been working with Boston Consulting Group, a world-class global consulting firm that has an office here in town. They've kindly agreed to do a pro bono study for Summit to address risks to Summit's economy. BMS is selling its facility. They're shedding jobs. Kenview across town is being acquired. Our town is at risk. We see a beautiful downtown. The store owners, particularly the small locally owned stores and restaurants, are telling us that they're at risk. And we've had different views on how they appreciate this particular project, but the facts are there in the the foot traffic studies done by SDI over recent years show declining foot traffic in Summit downtown. If we just pretend that we have to live in the 1950s and nothing changes in Summit, we are putting ourselves at risk. Summit downtown was the top factor, as Council President mentioned, cited by HGTV and ranking us as a top suburb across the whole country, right? The first thing they mentioned was our vibrant downtown. That is at severe risk for changing shopping habits. We've all seen those mountains of Amazon packages, and I'm certainly guilty of that myself. At the same time, new residents are coming to Summit, and as they come, we need to get them trained into coming downtown, having experiences, having a night out as a couple, bringing their kids, playing games. We have tables for folks, or we will have hopefully tables, if council and the mayor are on board, that will allow families that can't afford one of the more expensive restaurants to bring their own takeout and play games and have a cheap night out on the town. It's a nice vacation. This is for all of Summit. I myself can't necessarily afford to go to Europe this year, but I go downtown, I blink, and I think I'm in a sidewalk cafe in some exotic destination. It makes me happy. That's my little bit of Gemütlichkeit, if you will. So the economic benefits, the risks to our economic vibrancy that we cannot ignore. We can't pretend that they're going to go away. Amazon is not going away. Local businesses are at risk. The economy is in a very weird place right now. A lot of people, consumer confidence is at multi-decade lows. People are very careful in how they spend. We need to give people a reason to come out in Summit, a reason to spend their money here instead of somewhere else, and to come together as a community. So those are my views. I haven't taken as much time as some others here tonight, but I feel very passionately about this, and I'd be willing to follow up with anybody in conversation, in honest conversation, not gotchas where they want to tape you and then manipulate your image and your voice, which has happened to be during the campaign. So we are all volunteers up here. I'm working my bunda off with all of these committees, and I extend the benefit of the doubt to my fellow council members. I'm not questioning Bob's ethics or his motives, and I would appreciate the same treatment from others. Thank you.
Before we go further, let's please keep this focused on Maple Street and not on each other or pointing fingers at anybody.
Thank you, Council President.
Councilmember Landman.
Okay, I'll keep, it's 10:30. I'll keep this super short, mostly because my colleagues have already shared the reasons why they're supportive, which are in line with my views. I love Summit. We have a vibrant downtown. I'm a patron of the small businesses in town all the time. Running a small business is a tremendous hustle, and I'm happy to do my part to help our small businesses survive. Recently, over the past few weeks, I've walked Springfield Avenue, Maple Street, Union Place, speaking with small business owners, and I'm going to anonymize them too for similar reasons to what Michelle described. From jewelers to wine stores, businesses selling shoes to toys, the overwhelming majority of business owners I spoke with want us to proceed with a seasonal closure of Maple Street to pedestrian traffic only. They need the foot traffic. I heard it over and over again. I have complete confidence in our first responders to keep the public safe, as they did, by the way, for 3 summers when it was closed previously, and as they do every day now. Yes, residents will be inconvenienced when they need to take a different route through town. Just like residents at Memorial Field, Wilson neighborhood where I live, and Tatlock are inconvenienced when there are games that clog up the traffic on our streets. That's a compromise that we ask of all residents for the good of the broader community. And for those reasons, and for the welfare of the broader community, I am supportive of this ordinance. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Council President?
Is there something that hasn't been said?
Yeah, most definitely. So, about the rhetoric and the backbiting and all this other stuff, if you stop talking about it, then maybe it'll go away. I mean, I could sit up here and talk about all the racist and bigot comments that's happened to me in the last 2 years. You can go on Facebook and look at it. Stop talking about it. I don't complain about it. But what I haven't heard tonight, though, from any council person, except for Bob, probably, is the legalities of the ordinance. hey, this is going to be fun, this is going to be great, it's exciting, bring the community together. Yeah, that's great, right? But that's not what you're up here and what your responsibility is. Your responsibility, and maybe, you know, some of you are newly elected, I get it, so I got to be the, you know, the dad up here, right? The responsibility, though, is to the liability, excuse me, the responsibility is to the liability of the city of Summit and the health and safety of its residents. Not whether or not who can do the limbo and dance and eat and stuff like that. I mean, that's great. I'm excited for that too, right? But we have to address the legalities of this. So you're gonna pass an ordinance that the mayor is saying that she doesn't approve, the executive officer. Is that what we're doing as the legislative branch? Is that what we're gonna do? Speak to that. Thank you, Council President.
So could I just have a follow-up to that? The legal standard here that we heard earlier relates to health, safety, and welfare. And if you apply that same standard, we would have no road closures because none of them are actually increasing safety, right? So no more block parties if we're going to be consistent in our treatment. You have to do it across the board, right? And so the term welfare accounts for all that stuff I talked about. It's the economic benefits. It's bringing the community together. That's the benefit here. And we're seeing that Summit's at risk. And necessary, I think that's a judgment call. But it's more that the safety we've heard over and over again has been addressed. And it's down to the benefits for our community.
It doesn't matter what you think, though. That's the thing. It's the executive.
Councilmember Boyer,
Sorry.
yes. Yes, Mayor.
In response to Councilman Crisafulli's comment about block parties and things like that, is this statute, this refers to road closures over a certain duration, is that correct? City Solicitor?
So the requirement for the certification of the engineer is for road closures over 48 hours, and same thing with the DOT approval.
Okay, so it's a different conversation. Just wanted to be clear. And I also have some other things to say, so if I may. I will try to not say the same thing over and over again.
Thank you.
But I do want to say that I have suggested alternatives that wouldn't require closing a main thoroughfare to achieve the stated goals, which I think we can all agree are wonderful. Bring people together, drive foot traffic to downtown, create a vibe. I'm all about a vibe. I like partying, whatever. I want to be out there. I'm a people person. So I loved sitting on Maple Street when it was closed, but we're in a different time now. And I have suggested, Councilman Crisafulli, we had coffee a couple weeks ago, and I said, I have some other ideas about how we could accomplish this we could eliminate all of the conversations that we had tonight for the last 3 hours about safety by entertaining alternatives. I said this to Council President a year ago. There are ways to do this, ways to create this cool, place that, maybe other towns would look at and say, wow, I'd like to emulate that. It's so cool. And none of my suggestions were ever considered. In fact, I would argue they were ignored. So I kind of feel like and to Bob's point, why Maple Street? Why does it have to be Maple Street? Why can't it be somewhere else? Why couldn't it be the Bank Street parking lot Friday, Saturday, Sunday? And I have some ideas. I've shared them with Councilman Crisafulli, shared them with the Safety Committee, actually, in brief. And I'm happy to share them with anybody else who'd care to listen. So I will not do that because it's 10:40, and I don't want to do that to everybody, but I do have some ideas. I think that, I think this ordinance is problematic for a lot of reasons. And I've tried to make it work by asking about fixing the intersection at Summit, Franklin, and Union Place. We've been talking about that intersection for 2 years in the Safety Committee. You know what? The engineer 2 days ago gave us an idea that would have to be approved by the committee, approved by the county, and it might not solve all the problems. And by the way, we won't have been able to try it out before June to say that it made a difference or not. And I'd rather not assume that it's going to work. I'd rather see that it's implemented and see the effects. I'm a scientist. And I do think we need more work on traffic flow and addressing what the possible impacts are to pedestrians. Because I heard what Councilwoman Saracena said about if we draw all the pedestrians to Maple Street, nobody will cross at Summit, Union, and Franklin. But see, the problem is there's a train station there and a parking garage there. So there are still going to be people that cross there. And so I'm just saying, it's a problem intersection, and we've known it for 2 years, at least 2 years. I wish the traffic engineer was here because I would have asked. There's something called a pedestrian conflict analysis, which ChatGPT told me about. I don't know what that even means, except for that it suggests that instead of looking at traffic flow of vehicular traffic, it looks at impacts on how the diversion of traffic would impact near misses and pedestrian safety. And I hear a lot about pedestrian safety. I spend a lot of hours talking to people about pedestrian safety, and I field a lot of concerns from the community about pedestrian safety. And so I think that is something that we haven't heard addressed, and I don't think that it's really something that it's trial and error. We should have better data about this. I haven't seen anything, and so I'll go back to, can we deem this necessary? And I would argue, I would love to see the studies that Councilwoman Saracena noted, but again, I'm not sure that it's necessary to preserve mental health and wellness, because I've already stated that. I will not repeat myself there. But our public safety officials haven't given anything in writing to say, yeah, this all looks great, perfect, I sign off on this, and yay, it's going to be awesome, and everybody's going to be safer. And they won't say that. They won't say it's safer. They say they can do their jobs because that's what they do. They work in a dynamic environment. I've heard it. I understand that. But I think we're putting our residents in a place that's not necessary. Look, again, if council has data, if public safety officials have data to say that this is necessary for our the public safety, health, and welfare of our community, I'm open to listening. I want to hear it. I want to see it, but I haven't seen it. I really wish that council would table this ordinance and revisit the conversation to see how we could accommodate the desire for outdoor dining and open gathering space uptown, you're welcome, Bob, legally and safely. And I also would like to echo former Councilwoman Hamlet's comment about having the planning board opine as we go into the master plan, skinny re-exam or redo the master plan. I think placemaking should be a part of this, and I think that that's a great opportunity to get public feedback and public comment, because that's what we did last time we did the master plan. And then I want to mention, because somebody mentioned it to me, and I wasn't aware of this, but in 2022, while Maple Street was closed, there was unplanned utility work on Beechwood, and Summit Ave traffic was a mess, and it did delay ambulances getting across town. And then I know somebody mentioned the irony of insisting on cameras for kids playing sports, but under adult supervision, but not for adults drinking alcohol outdoors, sort of hard to ignore. And then I will there are two more points, and then I will let everybody, I'll yield the floor. But I have said this many times, just because people want something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do, okay? We need to do things legally and safely. That's our charge as elected officials. And parenting is hard. Sometimes you have to say no, even though you want to do the thing, okay? So I have done this many times. I got 4 kids. I've said no a lot of times, even though I wanted to do the thing. I just think we have to keep people safe. We have to do things legally, and I don't think that we've done enough homework. I don't think enough homework has been done around this, and I would hate to put the city at risk by barreling forward without the necessary supporting studies and documentation. And it sounds as if there will be lawsuits if it passes. So, and then lastly, I just want to make sure that, two things. One, on the record, I want to say, I want to understand if this does go through and somehow you guys figure out a way to go around me and whatever, or not even go around me, but just get it done. What happens to the non-restaurant tables and who's enforcing, how do we enforce alcohol or not allow alcohol there because they don't have an alcohol license and you can't drink in public? Something that needs to be addressed. And then lastly, I've said this to almost everybody sitting on this dais, and I think it's really, really important to me that if we do this, if this street gets closed this season, because we're talking just about this summer, and I heard that, and I appreciate that, I go back to my scientist background, and I will say outcomes are important, and I've said it to each of you. I implore you to have this conversation now before the first table goes out there. What are we measuring? Are we measuring pedestrian safety, and how? Are we measuring successful in businesses? How? Are we measuring foot traffic? How? Tell me how we're going to evaluate this road closure and honestly tell the people next year when we have the same conversation that this was a success. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
2 seconds.
I'll time it.
All right, 60 seconds. I just want to thank Dan for clearing the record and letting everybody know he wasn't trying to impugn my character, because when he seemed to accuse me of making Aaron quit and then in the next breath accused Republicans of taking payoffs to stop outdoor dining, I wasn't sure. But thank you for clearing the record on that.
We're done.
Thanks, Bob.
There was a question that was from a member of the public that wasn't addressed about the pop-up shops, and I know a number of stores that are not on Maple Street have expressed an interest, and that is something certainly we'd like to bring into it. I also, very briefly, want to add, we're blessed with 3 years of data and history of successful Maple Street closures, and that includes at least 1 year with unsuccessful closures elsewhere in downtown. I know as Banks, there was an attempt to do something similar on the Bank Street parking lot, and nobody came. It's very difficult for restaurants to serve more than a few feet beyond their doors. It's tough on the kitchen, it's tough on the waitstaff, and nobody was using it there.
I have ideas.
Okay, well,
And I said them.
but with all of that, I'm going to close this hearing, and let's call the roll. All right, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm closing the hearing, and it's back to Councilmember Crisafulli. Or, yeah, Madam
I have to
Clerk,
read the ordinance.
Would you please read the title of the ordinance?
Thank you.
I'm losing it, it's late.
So are we. Okay. Ordinance number 26-3380, an ordinance authorizing the temporary closure of Maple Street pursuant to NJSA 40:67-16.9 in the city of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you, Councilmember Crisafulli.
Thank you, Council President. Having closed the hearing on ordinance 26-3380 just moments ago, I move this ordinance for final adoption.
Second.
Okay, now, Madam Clerk, would you read the roll?
Mr. Boyer?
Clear separation of duties and powers opens the city to liability. You all know it. You've all been counseled by our legal counsel, and I am against this. Nay.
Mr. Crisafulli?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Ms. Landman?
Aye.
Mr. Pulowski?
Nay.
Council President Toth?
Aye.
4-2.
Yes. And I know it's late, but and we still have some business to go, but unlike my predecessor, I can't sit here for 5 hours. I need to call a 5-minute break. We actually. Okay, can we get back to this? And we're going to see, we're going to see if we can set a new road test record. City solicitor informs me that if a council member makes a motion, we can bundle every single resolution together unless somebody wants one pulled out.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Look at us all agreeing.
We agree on almost everything. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That means it is time for
Okay. Council President, you should have probably given the opportunity.
Oh,
to count.
yes, okay, I am so sorry. Yes, the public, is there anyone who would have said something about one of the resolutions? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I am so sorry,
Bonnie
Bonnie.
Morrison, Rotary Drive. Now, going through here, a lot of these were based on closed session discussions.
Mhm.
Can we get a little more background on what exactly has just happened? With, let's see, like HPC.
Okay.
I can speak to the finance ones.
Can one of us
I can
just give a
post-
rundown?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through this. HPC, we had the opening on HPC, and Kristen Pekka, who is an architect who has been on the Rent Commission, applied to move over to HPC. So she's been moved over as second alternate, and the others have moved up.
Okay. What about the parking lot for St. Teresa's as well as the funeral home?
I can speak to that.
Thank
if
you.
you don't mind. There's an agreement with the funeral home lot. There was a land swap that previously occurred related to the firehouse property, and this agreement is to clear up language as to the use of those spots for the funeral home during construction and a lot line, just clarification.
Okay.
With respect to St. Teresa's, same thing. There was a prior agreement with St. Teresa's regarding the loading area on the, I forget the name of the Chestnut Street lot that's now closed. And same thing, based on the MBC zone, there are some preserved loading spaces that have to be dedicated to St. Teresa's, and that's what this agreement was about.
Okay. And the technical review subcommittee appointing members, are those members public knowledge, or can they be?
So this was also related to the MBC zone ordinance. There's a requirement that any development in that zone has to go through this special subcommittee created by the council. It's basically all the members of a regular planning board technical review committee, plus the mayor, councilwoman La Saracina, and there's going to be a citizen architect that was appointed. And I think that's, yeah, everyone else is standard TRC members.
Okay.
We
Okay,
can
I
post
don't
these
see
on the
any.
Yeah,
website,
yeah,
or we can attach them to the
all
minutes.
of these will be attached to the minutes, but I can appreciate
Well,
you're
that's-
not
that will
wanting
come
to
out for
wait.
a couple of weeks,
Yes, yes, we know.
till after the next meeting. Okay.
No,
Great.
well, you're making sure we actually know what we're voting on, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, Jim Bennett, 38 Fairview Avenue. Is it premature to ask on what the status is on the closing of the sale of the firehouse property?
I could just say that we're still in negotiations with the contract purchaser, and there's been continued discussion and progress.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, good. Then I guess we get to move on to public comment.
I don't think we voted in favor or.
Oh, did we? Okay.
I don't
Oh,
think
then we
so.
go back to the
Yeah.
vote on,
Yeah.
and actually,
Can we just do another motion?
yes, yes. Let us do another motion and technically, I suppose I should ask that we pull the agreement with St. Teresa's, because I should not be voting on that.
You technically, well, when we vote, you'll say you abstain to that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we get the motion again? We're getting a little punchy here.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Okay,
Second.
okay. Do we have any council member comments? Okay, let's try again. All in favor?
Aye.
Except, any opposed? Okay, and I did abstain on the St. Teresa's one. So the consent agenda passes. Yay. Now we're on public comment. And you all win awards for still being here. No. Okay, do we have council member comments?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you, Council
Councilmember
President.
Comments.
This will be quick. I just wanted to address some of the social media activity over the past 2 weeks. It pretty much spiraled out of control and got weird. Misinformation was spreading like wildfire, especially about Tatlock lights. My favorite are the posts calling for us to turn on the lights, and so I want to clarify this on the record. In case anyone is unclear, a bipartisan council majority is working towards just that. If we could turn on the lights, we would, but there is no electricity running to them yet. And as of today, I do not know when JCP&L will make that happen. We are putting city resources on this effort. The contractor's working on the electrical. The police are working on the cameras. The city attorneys are working on the litigation. It is a group effort, and we are working towards that. And to get ahead of the next round of social media chatter, if the electricity isn't turned on before Memorial Day, the lights won't be used until almost Labor Day, per last year's council's ordinance passed in December. So while I don't know for sure, realistically, we are probably not using the Tatlock lights until the fall sports season. So I just want to be on the record so that we all have that information. If you hear a rumor or you are confused and you want the facts, please just ask us. If you're upset about something, please just let us know. You can email any one of us. It's our first initial, last name @cityofsummit.org. So now that we've cleared that up, hopefully, I do want to confirm some other rumors. As you heard earlier, the dog park, the pop-up dog park is back on the Village Green. The next phase of the Tatlock Playground renovation is happening right now, and we expect it to be done in time for Memorial Day weekend. Parking issues near Manley Court Apartments are being discussed in a meeting with city staff tomorrow. Tulip is scheduled to be repaved this year. We are getting a new fire truck and new police patrol vehicles this year, and there's much more great stuff coming soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Council President, real quick.
Okay.
Thank you to everyone who donated and sponsored for the Soul Prom. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I didn't go because it was all women. But I dropped some people off, though. Shout out to my wife for going into town and getting donations from like Square Pizza and the Silver Lining and what is Donna's Sweet Nothings. Shantae did a good job. Yeah, it was great. Brought together various different people that had a blast, and just wanted to say that. Thank you, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Pelosi.
Yeah, Chantel hit 2 of the 3, so, but I was never very confident that we would get these lights operational in the spring, but I always was confident that we'd have them up by the fall, and I still think that we will, or operational by the fall and in use. And then I just wanted to thank Ms. Albany's 5th grade class. It was the highlight of the night.
Absolutely, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Councilmember Kalmanson.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to mention there is a public safety forum hosted by Assemblyman Andrew McCurdy. It's regarding auto theft, and it's Tuesday, May 12th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Westfield Town Hall. And the City of Summit will put this on their website if people want to sign up. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? I will just add one little thing. I was so excited on the consent agenda that the Rotary Club will be hosting monthly blood drives at the fire department starting this month, I believe. It'll be the first time. Everyone should give blood if they're able to, and it's a great excuse to go visit the firehouse. So I hope everyone will turn out. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, I've got.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We made it.
Well, it doesn't help when some of my colleagues are late. Yeah. Straightforward. And I'm not a funny, but.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.